Good morning, everybody. How are you? Happy Monday morning. Good morning. How are you? Happy Monday morning. Hey, Claire, how are you? Don't recognize everybody's avatar, but I see you up there. It's so good to see you. Hopefully your reception is good and my link is solid. So glad you guys were able to tune in. So appreciate it. And really hope you had a great weekend. I had a wonderful weekend. It's Monday motivation, and that is actually just something that I've been wanting to do for a few weeks, and had to talk to you a little bit about what the topic under motivation. So good morning, happy Monday. I know, thank you for retweeting and liking this. Thank you so much. XO PXMITY. So you'll have to tell me how to pronounce that so that I can say it correctly. But I'm so happy that you guys, hi, how are you? So glad that you are here. Hopefully you're going to enjoy the conversation. And it's not going to be, look, Monday motivation is really centered around, good morning, Claire. Hey, I got two Claires in the house. Claire's times two. So Colabama, meet Claire, CJ. You two Claires need to be following each other. You guys are a force to be reckoned with. I'm doing fine. Thank you so much, Claire, for asking. So what are we going to talk about this morning? We're going to talk about fear. And where fear isn't necessarily something that, what we look to, we don't run to talk about fear. Hey, guys, how are you? We don't look to talk about it. Thank you so much for liking this. It's not something that we run to, but I'm convinced that it's sometimes the toughest things we face is what gives us a push to go further. And I share that with you because I think that we owe it to ourselves to be fearless. And maybe you think that, under motivation, fear, absolutely. Because here's how it works. In order to stay motivated, you got to understand, too, Claire's, this is going to be a great stream. Hey, you guys are awesome. Hey, Hal, how are you? Thank you for liking this. You know what? It is going to be a great stream, and I'm really, really excited that you're both here this morning. I'm honored, actually, that you're both here. I'm honored that everyone who's here right now is here. And I always look at it where the people who are in the room are supposed to be in the room for whatever reason. Anthony, hi, how are you? Thank you for retweeting and liking this. It's so good to see you this morning. And the conversation that we're going to be having this morning is about fear, but it's not just fear as a blanket. This is, the topic today is going to be facing our fear, because I really feel that if we can face our fear, we can conquer anything. It's difficult for us to stay motivated. It's difficult for us to push forward unless we recognize there's something in the way. Because you can be motivated, but you can't be motivated and scared of what you need to do. So I am depending on you for your questions, for your conversation, around this topic, because I think this is just, I think about myself, try to push it out, because I think that this is something that I've been looking at for a few weeks. What are you scared of? A lot of times we're afraid to even answer that question. We're afraid to even talk about it. And that's the part that's such a paradigm shift, is to be able to stay motivated. Motivation Monday is to get our week started. We've got to realize, and this is not true confession, so I'm not looking for anyone to talk necessarily specifically about what you're afraid of. You can do that in your own, home, in your own space. You can get into that and really dissect it. This is about techniques on how to face our fear. This is about how we can, as a group, international group, look at this and say, the few people who are in this room, you know what? We can have a strategy where it's like, you know what? I'm going to kick fear in the head this week. I'm going to push it out of the way, and I'm just going to keep moving. Hey, Kelly, how are you? Thank you so much for liking this. Hey, Divine Mojo Woman. I love that. Usulade. You're gonna have to help me just to make sure that I'm saying it right. Kelly, good morning to you. So, you know what? And Usulande, I have to say that if you're not following her, she is really a wonderful lady. She has some great techniques for, you know, really mastering your mind and controlling it and to de-stress yourself. So I enjoyed the short snippet that I was able to experience, but really look forward to following you and getting more of that wisdom. So Kelly, thank you so much. Ushun Lade. Thank you. Oshun Lade. Oshun Lade. I will keep practicing it and I will get it right. Thank you so much for doing that for me. I love that phonetic spelling that makes sure that I say it right. So when you look at it, and this is an exercise that I took, I had to really sit. You're so welcome. I had to really sit for a second and think about it because, you know, what we're afraid of isn't necessarily in the front part of our mind. You know, we give ourselves these pep talks. We say, well, you know what? I'm really not afraid. Okay, I'm fearless. Hey, Thunderbird, 1969, Rennie, so good to see you. It's been a while. So glad you're able to tune in. We're talking this morning on Motivation Monday. It's about pushing fear out of the way so we can really have a phenomenal week. Not just a phenomenal week, but I believe that fear is in a way of us really being super motivated all the time. So when you think about that and you look at this as Motivation Monday, we are motivated. We're motivated people. We're motivated because we're on Meerkat. So it really shows. Hey, Marshall, how are you? Good morning. Thank you for liking and retweeting. We're already motivated. But I do want us to be, you know what, I look forward to not only being motivated, but also fearless. You know what I'm saying? Angela, thank you so much for liking this. I want to have a fearless Motivation Monday, okay? Not a motivation, yeah, I'm motivated and I want to do a good job, or I'm motivated, but I still have, you know, fear that I have to look at and face and know that it is getting in the way for what I really want to do, to dream bigger, to do more, to get more accomplished. Hey, Chris, thank you so much for liking and retweeting. So glad to see you this morning. This is about how do we work, you know, how do we support each other in that? And you know what, you might have, and hello, my love, right back to you, Chris. You may have a buddy, someone that you can share your thoughts with or what you're really afraid of with, or you may not want to share it at all. It's fine. Like I said, this isn't True Confessions. It's not necessary for you to tell us what you're afraid of, but we have to recognize that deep inside, everybody has something that's like getting in the way, and that fear is definitely Attack Monday at a run. You know what, Marshall? Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's like, you know what, sometimes you think there's a barrier in front of you. And I'm just speaking for myself, you know, and I'll wait to hear what you all think. But there are times when you think it's like, oh, you know what, I would if I could, and I'm just making some excuse of why I won't attack it. I'm Russ, not Chris. Oh, Russ, forgive me, Russ. I so apologize for that. And you know what? You're absolutely right. Thank you so much. That's my error. And I hate making that mistake. So, you know, I feel bad now, Russ. But you're still my love. How's that? And my husband's here, so he's fine with that. Okay. Russ, thank you so much for being here and for correcting me. I appreciate that. That's not something that I think is, I think that if we can have candid conversations, that's why I come to Meerkat in the morning and I have conversations with you. And I'll be honest, you know, over the weekend, you know, I was thinking about it. Thank you so much. I was thinking about it. I had this planned, but you can be afraid of even talking about fear. Truly. You know, you could think it's like, oh, you know what, it can be taken both ways. It could be taken, you know, negatively, and I'm not meaning it in a negative manner at all. Actually, I think that it is probably one of the best things we can do for ourselves is clear our brain of whatever we are looking at it. The acronym FEAR is false evidence appearing real. Helps me realize that I'm not really afraid of anything but the unknown. You know what, Claire? That is absolutely Absolutely correct. One way I combat this is by truly identifying the unknown, that telling myself that I and others might actually benefit from that unknown. Rennie says, hi, good morning, Lydia. How are you? What up, Lydia? Very interesting topic, Lydia. I am listening intently. Thank you so much, Rennie. I really appreciate that. And I'm doing great. And I had to have this, okay, I'm going to talk about fear. What is it? What is it? What is a fear that I've had that I can share with you so I can kind of frame this a little bit and why it's so important. So a few years ago, you should start every morning dancing to MJ. You know what, Marshall? It's a great thing to do to get yourself into this frame, but we're facing fear, and we understand that when you face false evidence appearing real, the percentage of what you're afraid of actually happening is so minimal that it doesn't even require your time. So we're motivated, and we're already, hey, Alan, how are you? Thank you for liking this. I really appreciate that. I know that we're already motivated because I feel that, I'm surrounded by very motivated people. I feel that I'm surrounded by fearless people. But I think that even when you're fearless, there may still be something, a nagging, whatever that is, you can fill in the blank, something that you haven't really looked at. Or the happy song. You know what, Russ? Absolutely. It gets you into this mind of being like, this is going to be a great week, guys. This is going to be an amazing week. And the reason why it's amazing is because we're pushing forward into unknown territory. And I'll just use Meerkat for a second. Hey, Rob, thank you so much for retweeting and liking this. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here. I enjoy you so much and what you have to say. Thank you, sweetie, for retweeting and liking this as well. So, when you get into this frame of thinking, it's like, okay, so I am going to charge forward, but you know what? And then you put that but in the way. Okay, so it's like, I can charge forward, or I can do this, but this is in the way. Or I can do this, but I've never done it. Alan says, good morning from Long Island. What a great way to wake up. Maybe I'll be able to speak in an hour or so after a couple of cups of coffee. That's great. It is a fabulous day. It's a fabulous day, and this is going to be a great week. Morning, Lee. I love Mondays. It's the reset of the week. You know what? I love Mondays too, and I was really excited about this, regardless of the topic being, kind of like one of those. It can go in a lot of different places, but I think that the place that I really want to keep it is facing the fear and really being able to name it, even if you just name it to yourself, understanding and the power that you get from that, and being able to know that it is false evidence appearing real. You know what? Claire is absolutely right. But when you know that, then you can really take action on why is it so scary to you. You know what? And that's the part that I think that we don't necessarily talk about. Why was it scary? Kelly says, when you have fear, try remembering another time you conquered a similar situation successfully. I love that, Kelly, and I think that's absolutely right. Hey, how are you, Carrie? How are you doing this morning? Absolutely, Big Russ is in the house. Carrie B. Mullen had an epic stream yesterday. So good to see you. Hopefully you're feeling good today. We're talking about facing fear. This is first conversation about fear that I've had with anyone. And I think that it is important that we have an understanding of how fear works and how we can actually support each other. Have you heard of Ian Brown's song called Fear? No, I haven't, but I will look that up. Rob, thank you so much. But we know that it's false evidence appearing real. You know what? I'm convinced that everybody knows all the specifics about fear. That it's not real, that, it's not really going to happen. But it doesn't mean Ian of the Stone Roses. So Greg is asking, are you talking about Ian Brown of the Stone Roses? That would be good for us to know, because then we can all download that song. That'll be a really great exercise after we finish talking about this. So, Matthias, hi, how are you? Rennie says, I always look at mentors to inspire me, peers who have pushed through barriers and be empowered with by their achievements. I think you're absolutely right. I think that's a great way. I'm going to share one of the techniques that I use. Matthias, thank you for liking this. Carrie says, if I'm afraid of something, I end up going in super cocky to it, and it ends up okay. LOL. You know what? But that's true. Most of the time, you're afraid, and it turns out right. Saves. Hey, thank you for liking this. So one of my fears, I think I shared this like maybe, I don't know, a few weeks ago. One of my fears was actually streaming, because I've been watching so many streamers, and you know what, I woke up one day and I was like, and that's one of the reasons why I want to talk about it, because it does involve streaming. So I try to keep the topic, at least in the space that we're in. And I was thinking, it's like, what are you afraid of? You know, what are you putting in the way? What roadblocks are you creating in your mind about streaming? And I couldn't answer the question. I couldn't answer that question, because I asked myself, you know, a serious question about, you know what, why haven't you streamed? And you know what, you really need to just break through. It's like being pushed into the water on the deep end. So I did. You know what, I jumped in and I said, you know what, I'm going to dive in. I streamed. I did it for maybe 30 minutes or so. Carrie says, I have a fear of talking to large groups and a fear of water. Wow, Carrie. Well, you're doing really good. Good morning, Mayor. Good morning. Yes, but that but tends to negate the prior. We have to build up our mental capacity for success. Thank you, Mayor, for liking and retweeting this. Absolutely, Claire. But the reason why we are sort of stalled in that space between where we are and where we need to go, there's like this fear river that we've got to cross. And the fear river, for different people, it could be different things. Thank you, Carrie, for liking and retweeting this. And thank you so much for sharing. And String Team 123, Charles says, I have a fear of Meerkat. I totally understand. And that's why I'm talking about this, is that we stop doing things that we want to do because we can't cross the fear river. You know what? The fear river absolutely has, it looks, to some of us, it looks small. To some of us, it looks like an ocean. To some of us, it is just a puddle in the middle of the sidewalk. But the fact is that where we are, how do you keep talking? You know what, the key, Charles, is really about understanding what you want to talk about and making that your effort, whatever you're passionate about. So you just keep doing it until you get better. But I was telling you the story of the first stream. So it was 30 minutes. It was on a topic that I was really passionate about. Billie Holiday. There was a movie on Billie Holiday. It was actually the first documentary that's actually been done where it talked about people who knew her, talked to people who knew her. It showed her film. It was very interesting stuff. And I thought that it would be interesting to the community, which is why I did my stream. Claire says, I like that fear river analogy at Living Chic. Oh, yeah, thank you, Claire. Cross the fear river. Absolutely, good way to put it. You know what? If you look at it like that and you understand that across the river is where you really want to be. Thank you for liking and retweeting. It's good to see you this morning, Sherry. So happy you're here. If you want to cross the fear river, or if you want to cross, you want to get to the success that you need, you got to face fast. You have to face that river first, okay? You got to face that. You got to look at it and say, well, how big do I want to make this? Rennie says, talking about the song, The Man in the Mirror, sums it up for me, Lydia. The word man can be replaced by the word woman, also in the song by MJ. You know what? You're absolutely right, because that is truthfully one of the issues that we tend not to do. We tend to think that, oh my goodness, you know what? It's about somebody else, or it's about something else. Eagle Eye, love that. Thank you for liking this. Charles says, you look good. I saw myself in HD and I need help. I feel I look ugly. You know what, Charles, stop. And here's what I'm going to say this is like what I'm saying, and I so appreciate you being so forthright about what you need us to help you with. The fact is, the way we look at ourselves is not necessarily the true depiction of who we are. So, you know what? I've looked at people who think themselves the most beautiful person on the planet. I may or may not disagree, but it doesn't even matter because that's how they see themselves. And I think that the fear river for you might be, the fear of looking at yourself differently. I don't know. And I'm not going to try to put a definition on it for anybody. I think you've got to look at that and really sit down and think about, what is it? What is it that you are not happy with? And then, what? Once you define what's in the way, then you got to take some action. Because I'll tell you, when I did that first stream, okay, so the fear of streaming is nobody's going to come to my stream. All right? That's generally what most first streamers are thinking. No one's going to come to my stream. Well, I've got news for you. Nobody came to my stream. I was by myself. I had one person. That was me. I was the only person in the stream. And seeing that goose egg for 30 minutes, and I didn't just do it here, I did it also in Periscope. I'm just telling you, I was doing it up. I was like, hey, I'm going to stream on Periscope and Meerkat. Hey. It was a non-event. But what it taught me, and that's one of the reasons why I want to talk about it, is what it taught me is once you get through, okay, it wasn't catastrophic. It was just one stream for 30 minutes. I didn't have anybody. So you either let that stop you or you let it push you forward. It pushed me forward. I looked at my notes. I looked at what everybody had said as an advice, and it's like, bam, you know what? I took the bull by the horns. I really said, see, you know what? Regardless of how I may feel about this, I'm still going to push forward. So what did I do? I scheduled my next stream. It was the following day, and it was successful. Tony, thank you for retweeting and liking this. Shirley, Billie Holiday had a lot of fear in her time. Bless her. She had obstacles for real. You're so right. That's why I thought, it's like, wow, she's such a great person to talk about. Because she was, I just felt like her dynamic personality, and she had a lot of things that she had to face. We were in the middle of Jim Crow South. There were places that she couldn't go through the front door. She was a star. She was a headliner and had to go through the kitchen. So you think about that, and it's like, wow, you know what? But she was fearless in the way she conquered that. She really was. She had a lot of fearlessness, but she had her challenges too. But what I think about this is we can actually help each other. Eagle Eye, you're very welcome. Thank you. Charles, you know what? You can be streaming, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Kathy, thank you for retweeting this. Rennie says, I meant Michael Jackson's song, Lydia. Correction, MJ. I totally knew. You know what? It's called autocorrect translation. Rennie, I knew exactly what you're talking about. Kelly says, by yourself gives opportunity for good practice. LOL. I know, that's what I thought. It's like, well, shoot. I really think that, what it motivated me even more. If I hadn't gone through that, I don't know that I would have understood what other people are talking about when you don't have any stream, you don't have anybody in your stream, or, how lonely it feels or how afraid you are. That's why I share it, because I know that hopefully someone else can break through. Yes, that is a good fear. I kept talking to no one. You know what? But I'm going to tell you something. For those of you who are starting to stream, put hashtag Katch. I don't care if you have somebody or not. Look at yourself. Look at what you did so that you can review it and you can always make it better. Okay? You can continue to make yourself better if you really want to. But like I said, we're standing at Fear River. We're looking at it. To some, it looks like, oh my goodness, it looks like the rapids because it's moving so fast. Like, oh my goodness, how can I cross that? To others, it looks like a little stream they can easily walk through. To some, it looks like an ocean. I'll never get across that. And I think that you've got to figure out where you are in the paradigm of what you're looking at and then do a shift. Because that's the opportunity that we're facing today. Shirley said I had a one person who wasn't talking awkward. It is awkward. Johnny, good morning. Thank you so much for the like and retweet. Johnny had his first stream on Saturday. Did an awesome job, played some great music. It was really fun. It was an event. You learned something. You know what, Carrie? Absolutely. Johnny, right back to you. Hearts. Hey, love that. And I really so enjoyed meeting you and seeing how much passion and enthusiasm you had. It was so much fun. Charles says, FYI, I produce live event streaming. FYI, I produce live events, streaming events. Wow, Charles, you know what? That is fantastic. So, I totally want to support you. You'll have to, we have to follow each other so that you can get through this because you already have everything you need to be successful. Renier, thank you for retweeting this. I am so excited that you're here and that we can talk about it. We can help you. We can support you. So, really the obstacle isn't as big as you think it is. And I think that you will make up things in your mind as long as you don't face what the real fear is. Happy Monday. Hey, Ed, how are you? Renier, thank you so much for liking this. Ed, thank you for liking this. Charles, thank you so much for liking this. Ed, thank you for retweeting, and Charles for retweeting. So Alan says Bessie Smith, and Rachel's also had a lot of fear as well, and they both out for Kane. They outgrew it, I think is what you're saying. But they kept performing. You know what I think about this? Some people talk about, people in the past, and they're like, oh, I don't want to really talk about that. But I think there are a lot of things that we can learn from biographies. That we're not the first person who's gone through a fear situation. So when you read biographies, you can see how people push themselves beyond it. It's very, very fascinating. And I recommend that you start making case studies of things that you've seen and that people have done this before. You're not the first person who's conquering this. Trust me, you're not. And the way that we get through it is by looking at it and looking at our river and defining, what is it? What is it that I am that's stopping me? What is it that, I'm hesitant about? Kelly says, absolutely, Kelly. That's great advice to Charles. Sorry, work calls as much as I want to stay. Carry on, being awesome. Oh, Rob, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it. As always, Rob, you're just such a joy to know. Charles says, I gave to go, Lydia, but I felt your love. You have to go, but I felt your love. Thank you. You are so welcome. Stream team, Charles, you are amazing, and I look forward to getting to know you. And I know you're going to start streaming. I just feel it. I feel like you're at that point where you've already defined it. Now it's just the next step. Johnny says, thank you so much, Lydia. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. Thank you for your support. Hey, you know what, Johnny? I'm so happy I was able to catch it. And it's like so crazy. When sometimes, I know people are having their first stream. I try really hard to get there, especially if we're following each other. And I appreciate your support. So that's the way we have to support each other. Adrian, thank you for liking and retweeting. You had an epic weekend with all of your streams, and I learned so much about your city. I learned so much about, your family. It was just so much fun, and I can't tell you how much I appreciated your streams. It was a lot of fun to see. Tony says, thank you, Clifton, for being my second broadcast. Oh, I know, right? Clifton gets around. He gets around to a lot of different broadcasts. Good morning to you too, Adrian. So Kelly says, fear is basic human situation. None of us are alone in it. We all have it. How we respond is important. I think that when you're on the brink of something, and I think everybody's on the brink of something. I think that everyone has something that they like, well, I would love to do this, but there's a fear river in the way. And I think the way that we get through this, the way that we conquer it, is by understanding that, what we're doing and how we do it is going to be critical to maybe the next 5 to 10 years. So every time you cross it, you're getting closer to your ultimate goal. Alan says, when I was in college, I did radio show on the 10-watt college radio station. Back then, there was no way of knowing who is really out there, but I did it anyway. That is fantastic. And it's going to only prepare you for what is right now, live streaming. And for those who aren't live streaming, you need to be streaming because this is definitely the future. And I think that we're at a point where you don't know what's going to happen. So you tend to get a little, wonky on, oh my goodness, I don't know what's going to happen. So, how am I going to do this? And should I even be here? And then I'm afraid to move forward, So you start that whole fear river. You make the river larger than it actually should be. And I think that you have to really look at it. Why are you afraid? That's the first step before you can even cross. Hey, Deanne, how are you? Good morning. Sorry, it's like, no worries. I'm so glad you're here. We're talking about facing our fear, and the conversation is really about, this is Motivation Monday. To stay motivated, if you are living in fear, and it's hard to be truly motivated. You know what? Because it's in the way. And Tony is just talking to Adrian and Clifton. Aaron, thank you for liking this. Rennie says, I believe Abraham Lincoln had a stutter and a fear of public speaking. With practice, Abe Lincoln became confident public speaking and president of the U.S. You know what, Rennie? He's actually one of my, role models when I talk about historical figures. Because not only did he have that fear, he also failed at a lot of things. So some of us have a fear of failure. Like, oh my goodness, what if it doesn't work? He failed at so many campaigns that it was really incredible that he made it to be president. But that's the point. You know what? If he had stopped because of his stutter, if he had stopped because it's like, oh, I'm afraid because people aren't going to like what I say, or, I failed before, so why should I go forward? I'm just fear of failing one more time. If any of those things had stopped him, you know what? He wouldn't have been one of our greatest presidents. So really do appreciate you mentioning him. Oh, Tony, thank you so much for your kind thoughts. It was really we learned a lot from you. Kelly says, getting scary results in the past can keep us from crossing the fear river today. Failure is huge. It is. And that's one of the reasons why I said, a fear of failure can be big. It can stop you from doing something that you really are motivated to do. I believe that everybody is different on this planet. We're all individuals for a reason because we bring something to the table. So we're afraid, well, this is what I want to do, and I'm afraid of failure. Well, you know what? That's not. So what are you going to lose? Okay, so maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. But if you don't try, how are you ever going to find out? How are you going to ever know what you need to refine? And that's why I said you've got to look at it before you cross. You got to understand what you're looking at, because I think sometimes it's like, I'm just going to cross through it, but you're not really addressing what's truly deep down within you that you're afraid of. You're looking at it and just making, bless you, that's my husband sneezing. You look at it and you're making fast answers, and you're just like, okay, I'm going to be fearless because I don't want anybody to know that I am afraid. So I'm just going to plunge through. But you got to look at, what are you afraid about? Within fear, there's usually there's a core, there's a target where, yeah, you're afraid, but what are you really afraid of? And until you get down to the core, until you know exactly what that is, then it will always be a trip hazard. Okay, it will always be a trip hazard because you are afraid of really looking at it and being critical of yourself, or saying, it's like, you know what, I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer, and I don't want anybody to know that I don't know the answer. So I'm just going to pretend that I'm not afraid, and I'm just going to go forward, and it's all going to be okay. Well, you know what? Okay, good luck with that, because ultimately what's going to happen is it's going to come up again, and if you haven't really addressed it, then it could stop you, or it could impair the speed in which you're moving forward. So Sweet D Delights. That sounds Swedish Delights. Love that. Good morning. Guess it's time to jump into my puddle and start streaming. Definitely have a fear of streaming public speaking. I totally understand that. And I think that is, you know what, we can just talk about streaming if that's what you guys want to, conquer the fear of streaming. Hey, Joseph, good morning. Thank you for liking and retweeting. I love, like I said, seeing you stream. Your subject matter is always really fascinating. Ms. Melissa, thank you for liking and retweeting. It's good to see you this morning, Melissa. But if you're talking about your fear of streaming, how do you conquer that? It's not just streaming, okay? So I'm going to say, go out on a limb and say, yes, you might be afraid of streaming, but there's something about the streaming process that is even more specific to that. There's something in there that is core to why you don't want to stream. Hey, the local pigeon, thank you so much. So good to see you. I want to stream me doing my craft. Absolutely, and there are a lot of crafts on Meerkat. And there are a lot of people in the audience that also do crafts in front of an audience. Excuse me. So you've got to kind of figure out, what is it that's making you hesitant? What is it that you may not want to, you may not want to tell us, and you don't have to tell us. I'm not asking anyone to talk about specifically, thank you so much for retweeting, Local Pigeon. That's not the essence. The essence is what you do after we have this conversation. What do you do with it? Do you go back and you're like, okay, I'm going to fix my fear, but I don't want anybody to know that's what I'm afraid of. But you don't have to tell anybody what you're afraid of. You know what? You just need to do it. You've heard nothing to it but to do it. You know what? That's true. But before you can do anything, you got to know what you're dealing with, because then you can't break it down well. It'll keep coming back. It's like, it'll restart itself, because you'll hit another situation and it's that same little thing, whatever it is, that's getting in the way. So, when I was talking about the fear of my first broadcast and how I sort of built up this impression of, it's like, oh my goodness, what if it's an epic fail? What if no one shows up? All of those things, and I thought about it and I was like, well, you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay. If nobody shows up, then they don't see me make a mess of it, okay? Hey, Chef MC57, thank you for liking and retweeting. Good to see you today. Another streamer and an epic weekend, and so happy that you're able to tune in. Kelly says, yes, not wanting people to know your weakness is so true. We all want to look strong. Rennie said, even Dr. Martin Luther King, I believe, had to overcome many hurdles before Dr. King gave the epic speech, I Had a Dream, which has inspired many generations. Rennie, you're absolutely right. And you have to think about this, that we can walk through life. If he had been afraid, because he knew that his life was being threatened, he was getting death threats all the time. If he had let that fear stand in the way, we would have been absent probably one of the greatest speeches in our lifetime. Really, if you think about it. I had a dream. How many people talk about that? How many people reference it? How many people feel, oh my goodness, that is so incredible. If he had let fear, if he had not crossed his fear river, we wouldn't have it. And that's just the shame. That's one individual that we can point to and say, hey, you know what? He went through fearlessly. He lost his life, but he was like, you know what? It's all good. I'm going to go forward, and I don't care what it is, and that's like the ultimate fearlessness. And I don't know that, I'm at this point I'm looking death in the face. It's not about that. For the most part, 99% of us are not in that space. Okay. For the most part, it's false evidence appearing real. There are some distinct differences, and there are definitely some cautionary notes for someone who might be facing a situation where the fear is real and they need to pay attention to it. But I'm talking about the fear of doing something that's going to be positive, okay? That's what I'm talking about. The fear of doing something that could positively shape your life and enhance what you want to do and those around you. So that is, my fear of stepping out is specifically centered on, that positive. This is Motivation Monday. It's being motivated. And I was like, okay, I'm motivated. But you know what? Sometimes we can be motivated and we can still have a block that's getting in the way. So Joseph says, I'm afraid of starting a business again. Thankfully, I'm too busy until January to even think about it. You know what, Joseph? But you've already got a business. I'm just telling you. You know what? I don't know you. We just met through Meerkat. But to me, you've already got a rocking solid business. So just putting the parameters on it, you're already there. You're already doing it. This is a good talk, people. Good talk. Oh, thank you, Kelly. I really appreciate that. I think that, these are the topics that sometimes we shy away from because it makes us uncomfortable. And I just want to talk about that for a second, because that was really one of the things that made me more motivated, because I don't want to be afraid to have a conversation, because I think that, well, it's going to be uncomfortable. People might not like hearing about, fear on a Motivation Monday, but I think that it goes together. And we talk a lot about motivating, I'm inspired. There are a lot of hashtags about that side. But the truth is, in order for us to get to the true motivation, to be relentless in being motivated, it takes us crossing Fear River. Okay, and if you haven't crossed that, if you haven't even looked at it, got it. Good morning, Lydia. Thank you for hashtag Motivation Monday. Oh, you're welcome, Melissa. I'm so glad you're here. But people have fears that are on all levels. Thank you so much, Adrian. People have fear on all levels. You know what? I'll be honest with you. It's so many dynamic parts of our life. 10 basketball 4. Sarah, how are you? I'm afraid a guy in my class likes me because we are best friends. You know what, Sarah? If you like him for more than friends, then there's nothing to be afraid of. Absolutely, Melissa. If you like him to be more than friends, then there's nothing to be afraid of. But I will say this: if you only want him to be a friend, and speaking, if you only want him to be a friend, then the best thing you can do for yourself and for him to get yourselves out of the misery is just tell him, you know what? You're my best friend, but I only want us to be best friends. Put it out there. There's nothing to be afraid of. But what happens to us, not unlike Sarah, we sit there and we're thinking, oh my goodness, what if he says something? Well, oh my goodness, what's he going to do? You know what? You will make yourself crazy about that for weeks. And I just say, cut to the chase. Just say it and say, you know what? It's going to be okay. And you will survive, and so will he. And at the end of the day, you'll be better friends, because then you're being honest with each other. That's what I'm saying. Fear, it can stop us from doing things, and then we spend so much wasted energy afraid of something that's not even going to happen, or something that we could totally avoid. Melissa says, some of us are afraid of success. So yes, so your fear river might be, what if I cross this and I've got this quantum success and I've got all these things thrown at me, I've got all these responsibilities, and then what am I going to do with that? Here's what I have to say. That you got to look at, it's not just a fear of success. There's something within that statement of being successful that is really scaring you, probably more than just being afraid of success. Because I think that something embedded in what you are picturing is what's going to happen, that's what's really stopping you. And that's why I say, you got to pull it apart. You don't have to talk about it, but you got to pull it apart and look at it closely. So, Aniko, good morning. And Kelly's right. It could be the fear of change. Change can be tough. Absolutely. Dale, good morning. Thank you for liking this. True, but change is inevitable and can happen regardless, but achieving success takes action. Yes. Martin says, everyone Google CBT thought diaries and core belief worksheets. Love that. That is really, really good advice. Martin, I'm so glad you're here this morning. Missed you, so thank you for that. Is a phenomenal way to do it. And really, when you start pulling it apart and looking at it, I think that you can get to this. You don't, but it really is going to take some thought. It's not going to be easy, and I'm not trying to say that. Good morning to you too, Dale. Tony says, I learned a valuable lesson for Apple users. I didn't put phone on airplane mode and got phone call during stream. All of my devices tried to answer the call. You know what? I've lived through that, which is why I put my phone on airplane mode. Thank you, Ben, for liking this. And good morning to you too. So we've been talking about facing our fear and knowing that, you know, we have cliches in fear conversations. We say, okay, I'm afraid of success. Or we say, you know what, I'm afraid of change. But literally, I'm just saying from experience, when I've really broken it down, there's something within that change that I didn't like, or there was something, you know, within, you know, maybe a success statement that made me uncomfortable. And until you know what that is for you, until you can be at one with that and say, you know what, it's false evidence appearing real. We all know that, and we can say that. But it shouldn't be a cliche. It should be something that we really reference. And we really say, it's like, okay, so what is it that I'm believing? And how am I going to reroute myself so that I'm really focused on the things that are going to be important? And I'm an optimist. You know, I believe that each of us has amazing accomplishments in front of us. But until we pull it apart and really understand what we can, you know, what's stopping us, then you know what, those accomplishments are just going to lay dormant. They're going to be there and you're not going to get to them, and it's like, oh, you know what, I can't do this, or oh, I can't do that. And you get into this can't conversation that really is just about, you know, there really isn't anything outside of how we perceive it. And there might be obstacles, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that this is easy. I'm not trying to say there are not any obstacles. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that we face obstacles every day, okay? And we walk through a lot of those obstacles. But because we're not afraid of them, you know what? Because we're not afraid of them, we don't think of them as any big deal. And that's why I'm saying that we can actually get there with being able to look at this more actively. And Martin says, excellent, Ms. Meliz. I use it with drug addicts and have witnessed phenomenal success. Martin is an incredible, please make sure that you're following Martin. He's an incredible resource, super strong, brilliant streamer on social media, also brilliant. You need to be following him because he has some great, insightful advice. Jay, good morning. Good morning to you too, Jay. Thank you for liking and retweeting this. Cal, good morning, Lydia and Mir family. Great show. Oh, thank you, Cal. I'm so glad you're here. And Sarah says, what if you're a child and your parents don't let you accomplish that success? So, Sarah, I think that you do what you can while you can. So you're not going to always be a child, just saying. You're not always going to be a child. You're not always going to be at a point where someone else is making decisions for you. So you've got to prepare for that. Okay, so when you are able to make decisions, sometimes from childhood to adulthood, you can fill in this void of, well, you know, my parents wouldn't let me do this, or my parents wouldn't let me do that, and that's why I didn't accomplish what I wanted to. That is not a viable excuse for long, because the years between here and adulthood go super fast. I say get ready. Read all the books you can. You can go to the library. You can read books on success. You can read books on children who are successful. You can read books on, you know, what you're interested in. You can read books on, you can prepare yourself so that you're fortified. And then the other thing that you can do is really looking at, okay, I may be stopped by a bump right now, but you know what? It's not always going to be there. Lydia, CBT is cognitive behavior therapy and can help anyone who is feeling loss, anxiety, depression, or loss. Thank you so much, Melissa. I really do appreciate that. And if you go back, it's a Google download, and both Melissa and Martin have used it, and they find that it's very helpful. So I would strongly advise you take a look at it and really work on that. But like I said, this is just about these are steps. You're getting tools that can help you. And I'm just, you know, I came to this conversation just about the thought process of getting started. And Sarah, you're already starting because you're asking good questions. You're asking good questions, Sarah, and you know, everybody's gone through that point. Betsy, Sunshine walking in, how are you? Thank you for liking and retweeting. You're asking good questions, but I think that you've got to really look at, there comes a point where that won't be in the way anymore. So, you know, preparing your vision board, you know, the things that you want to happen, getting focused on, being who you want to be. What does that look like? What books do you need? That is the part that we all have within our power to do that no one can stop us from doing. That is something that you can envision. You can be focused. You can be prepared, for when you hit that place where you are absolutely able to take the right steps. Cal, thank you for retweeting this. Sarah, don't let your childhood hinder your adulthood. We're saying the same thing. And I think that, I look at, my childhood and it's like, wow, I enjoyed it tremendously. I went to summer camps, played outside, rode my bike, had friends. I played, here's one of those things. I played school. I loved playing school. That was like a really big deal. That was like my favorite game. Okay, let's play school, everybody. Notice I probably didn't have a lot of friends who wanted to do that because in the summertime, let's play school. We're out of school. But I'm just saying that you have to enjoy where you are. But then the things that you want to do, you've got to be able to say, I'm going to do them anyway, even if people don't join me. I'm gonna still prepare, and and you can still put yourself in a place where it's like, okay, you know what? I know that I may be stopped. I may not be able to remove that roadblock, and it's there for a reason, because there's probably something you need to do before you even get into your adulthood or you get into what you want to do. Cal, thank you for liking this. Hey, Brian, enjoyed your stream last night. Thank you so much for the curating content stream. It was really fantastic. Marketing hits. You need to follow him. He's a wealth of knowledge. Thank you for liking and retweeting. Trouble07, thank you for retweeting and the likes. And hey, Steve, how are you? Thank you so much for liking this. I really appreciate it. Good morning to you too. Kelly says, Sarah, I hear you. Be strong where you can. Focus on what you can do and chin up. Absolutely. Good morning. Happy Monday morning. Happy Motivation Monday. We're talking about, how we're facing our fear. Good morning. I have school, so goodbye. Thank you for advice. Oh, you're so welcome, Sarah. I'm so glad we met. And I look forward to seeing you again. So thank you so much. And if you're following me on Twitter, then we can follow each other. You can DM me if you have any other questions. Tony, thank you for liking this. Sarah says, we will continue to support you if you hang around. Wonderful. Absolutely, we will. And Martin says, once we reach the realization point, now that beliefs are just presumptions, we now become free. That is my point, Martin. Once you understand what you're really looking at, and you know that you don't really have the right thought process together on what you are looking at, you said it very well, and that's the part that's really very enriching. And once you're free to be motivated. You're free to get things done. You're free to use your time wisely. You're free to not veg out when you shouldn't be vegging out. You know what? You're free to do all of the things that we've got on our plate, and our plate is big. I'm going to tell you this right now. The plate is huge. It's heaping like this. We've got all this technology, all these things to read, all these things to listen to, our regular jobs, our regular house, all the responsibilities, friends, family. Trust me, I know it's huge. But if we get ourselves together on this, okay, and I'm saying the first step in being motivated is standing at the edge of Fear River and saying, you know what? I'm crossing this. I'm crossing it today. And I'm going to cross it by understanding and being honest. If it's just me, myself, and I, we're going to have this conversation and we're going to have it out. Trouble07 says, I loved to play school also. My cousins hated it. I grew up to be a teacher. Oh, that is so funny. I didn't grow up being a teacher, but you know what? I have teachers around me, sisters, aunts, uncles, who are all teachers, but it was a lot of fun. So Kelly says, hang around other days, not meaning skip school, haha. Right? Don't try to promote that. You need to go to school. Sarah, Aaron, thank you for liking this. Jay says, I hated a lot of my childhood, and I couldn't wait to be an adult and get out and start my own path. But that's the beauty. You know what you didn't like about it. And so you are providing, sort of the counterbalance to that and giving really good advice to others because you use that to strengthen you. So I think it's super, super cool that you're doing that. But I say that even in growing up, you can be like so in a rush to grow up. I had phenomenal parents. Of course, I didn't know that at the time. I thought my parents were a lot older. And I've said that before. They were, I would go to school and, my parents would come and people would say, "Hey, Deacon, how are you?" People would say, "Oh, your grandparents are here." I hated that. It's like, oh my goodness, please. They would talk about my folks, all that so much. But they were really very loving. They were amazing in what they were able to give as far as advice and life lessons. So it wasn't until later that I started seeing that. You know what I'm saying? But at the moment, when I was in the moment, living in the house, it's like, oh my goodness, this is so crazy. But that's another stream. But the point is, being afraid. I was afraid of my parents coming to school. It's like, oh my goodness, everybody's going to talk about me because my parents are older. But you know what? You get to this point in life when you look back on that and you're like, what the heck was I thinking? That is like so wrong. My parents are super, super awesome. And, when you're living in fear, you're afraid of everything. That's all I'm going to say. And, being little, I thought, that was just what you did. And you sort of create these habits. But the truth is that as I look at it, that's why I know that we are on the brink of something great if we can get through this. Melissa says, same here. Then I started a family and devoted myself to success of others. Now I feel like I have finally grown up. Oh, that's awesome, Melissa. It's a great way to look at it. Leverage what happened to you and do something positive with it. Good morning to you too, Leela. Thank you so much for retweeting and liking. Mark, thank you for liking this. And Martin says, looking down at River Fear from an airplane, notice a giggle crossing with ease. Yes. You're absolutely right. Roy, thank you for retweeting and liking this. You're absolutely right, because that's my point, that when you're standing there and you're looking at it, when you're up close, if you get too close to it, it looks super, super huge. But if you get far enough away and you recognize that maybe what you're looking at right now is not accurate, then you can actually have a transformational moment. And Joseph says, I spent my childhood wishing my selective mutism, my selective mutism didn't leave me trapped in my own head. Okay, so you absolutely, are you speaking of just not saying anything or not speaking up? You have to let me know exactly what you mean by that, mutism. G says, great hashtag Motivation Monday to all. Oh, G, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate seeing you. Just some good mornings back and forth. Good morning to you too, Roy. Thank you for liking this. Joseph said, it's only talking about clay that helps me. You know what? But clay can be so moving when you think about what it does and how it morphs into something great. There's a lot of life lesson there in what you do with clay. Thank you for retweeting this, G. Melissa says, my parents were older too, and my biggest fear was losing them. When that happened, I got through that, and I became fearless because I had nothing to fear after that. Absolutely, Melissa, I can totally agree, because I spent a lot of my years being afraid of what am I going to do? My mother was my best friend. My dad was sick for like 15 years. But I was always afraid. It's like, what am I going to do if my mom's not here anymore? She's my best friend. She's my confidant. But I'm going to tell you something. When you face the fear, and what gives me strength is being able to share. Oh my goodness, so many life lessons. I could live a lifetime and not give them all. Do you know what I'm saying? That's how rich it was. So I look at that and I say, that's how I get through that. And the fear really was something that probably made me stronger than I thought I would ever be. So sometimes the fear of what you're looking at, it's not going to be like it's no sadness or it's not going to be difficult. But the point is this, that when you really face it, when you come face to face with that, you know what, we've got some power getting ready to happen. Jennifer, thank you for liking this. Hi, how are you? So F2B28469047884B5. You know what? F2B, thank you so much for liking this. Alila is just saying, good morning, Troublesome. Thanks for the motivation. Have a great day. You too, Trouble07. Thank you so much for being here. Betsy says, I became a young mom too quickly. I didn't get to enjoy my teenage years. However, I have no regrets. I'm living life now. You know what, Betsy? That is an amazing way to look at it. And you're so strong. And what could have made someone hesitate or stop, you use to push you forward. And that's why you're so strong. You're such a sunshine in this in the Meerkat world. You know, on social media, we see you, and just it makes us smile. Joseph says it's a condition that meant I really couldn't talk in front of others. My voice gets stuck before I can speak. Got it. But you know what, Joseph? You do an amazing job with talking about what you're doing. I'm inspired when I see your work, and it's beautiful. So even not understanding what you faced, you've actually leveraged it already. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here and giving us that, which makes us even want to support you that much more, because we know how much you go through in order to be able to make it happen. That's like super inspiring. So G says, I feel the same way. I had my first kid at 31. You know what? It's okay. I do you all see the comments listed 3 times? I don't know that I do, but I haven't gone through them yet, so it might be coming up. Matthew, thank you for liking and retweeting this. Alf, how are you? Love that Twitter handle, Bam Chisel. Thank you for liking this. Good morning to you too, Matthew. Melissa says, when you come face to face with your fears, you have some power. Absolutely. F2B2 reminds me of R2D2. F2B2. That's really funny. And well, you know, Star Wars is getting ready to come back out. So, G, I don't see them 3 times. Brian says, if you fail, learn and move on to the next test in life. And there's always a next test. Brian, you're absolutely right. But I think that that's the part that I'm talking about, that sometimes, you know, the fear of failure, and I'll just use just that one. Fearing failure is like, oh my goodness, we always talk about it. I fear failure. But within that, there's something else that's definitely in the way. Sherry Lisa, I had a fear of people seeing me because I didn't like my looks. You helped me get past that, Lydia. Thanks, love. You know what, Sherry, you're a beautiful woman inside and out. It was my pleasure. And I'm honored that you were on my show and that you were streaming. You're like super successful streaming. I really, really appreciate you. And I appreciate your support. BJ Johnny. Brianna. Wow. Brianna, thank you so much. Hi there. How are you? And we have some good mornings back and forth. I think that's really awesome. So, but, you know, as I said, you know, when you look at what are we really trying to do? We're trying to be successful in a space that really doesn't have any truly defined success definition. So we don't know what that's going to look like. We don't have, you know, we have some people, and I think people in live streaming there are people who are definitely doing a great job. They're getting sponsors, they're getting whatever. But we don't really have a defined notion of what this is. But being in this space, even without knowing that, and facing your fear, knowing what the fear is I might be wasting my time. That could be one of the fears. It's not my fear, but I'm just saying. It could be I'm wasting my time. So what if I wasted all this time and nothing happens? Well, frankly, there's something in that's probably in the center of that's even bigger than you are wasting your time, or that you're afraid of wasting your time. There's probably something that we haven't even identified that's in the heart of that. So that's why you've got to look at it and figure out, what is it really that I'm afraid of? You know what? And that's a self conversation. Melissa says, facing fears on, oh, thank you so much. Hashtag Motivation Monday. Thank you so much, Melissa. Rain, how are you? Thank you for liking this. I really appreciate seeing you this morning. Josh says, morning success here is what you make of it. IMO. Absolutely. Thank you so much for hashtag Katch. Kelly says, who says we have to be a 10 to deserve to go in public? Where did that idea come from? It comes from what has been and what continues to be. We are inundated with an impression of what it's supposed to look like, because that's been preformed for us. It is what we've grown up with. You're in 11. All right now, Josh. That is great. Thank you so much. D, thank you so much for being here. So glad you made it. Melissa says, my interview tomorrow night is with a life coach, Sandy Amarim. I'm talking about her book, 100-Day Promise. Okay, that sounds great. God made this world for all of us to love and support each other. I really do think that what we see in the mirror is filtered by how we believe, what we believe in, and then how we may or may not like ourselves. Hey, Jeff, good morning. Oh, thank you so much for being here. Always a pleasure to see Jeff, who does an amazing stream around New York, talking to people. I just enjoyed it. You do such an incredible job. V says, I think I like your outfit, Lydia. Is it a dress? No, it's just a jacket. It's just a jacket over some pants. Thank you so much, V, for saying that. Thank you for retweeting. So if you're not following Jeff, you really need to, because he is definitely one to watch on Meerkat. He is in the top 4 of Meerkat. So you really want to make sure that you're following him. He's an incredible guy. On top of that, with a beautiful family. Brianna says, good morning. It's raining here because of that Monday. Sucks, which wish it was better, LOL. But do what kind of fashion? But what kind of fashion you like? Oh, Brianna, because we're talking about fear, I'm not going to really get into that. But if we're following each other, we can maybe talk outside of the room. That would be great. Matthew says, we live in society where we are inundated with unachievable, inhuman beauty standards. You know what, Matthew? I think that there are people in those spaces, so I'm not going to say they're unachievable or they're inhuman. But what I will say is, because we're in a society that talks about, and we're just talking about the fear of how I look right now, or what I look like, and maybe that's getting in the way of streaming. If you understand that what you're looking at is something that you've been trained to think, you've been trained because that's all you see. And I think that's the beauty of being in Meerkat, that you can see a dynamic array of all kinds of people unfiltered, and that it's an environment where you define beautiful inside, beautiful outside. It's not about age. It's not about, ethnicity. It's not about, whatever you think it could be about. It's really about who you are as an individual and letting that shine through. That is the part that's what this is. But the fear of looking at ourselves can be real. But you've got to figure out what that is. And then if there's something about the way you look at yourself or the way you're thinking about yourself, you know what? I believe all things are possible. I really do. Like I said, I'm an eternal optimist. That just means that then you can take action on what you don't like if you want to make changes. And it's okay. You know what? These are no stones. I'm just speaking of having a thought process to, once you face what it is that you're really afraid of, then it's on you. It's on us. I have to be accountable to that. I've got to know, it's like, well, you know what? Yeah, I've been stopped by that. Maybe I didn't finish what I was going to start. Maybe I was thinking, it's like, oh my goodness, it's too hard. Maybe all of those things crossed my mind. But you know what? The reason why we stop what we start, the reason why we may not start at all, has a lot to do with how we're looking at it, and maybe those fears that are getting in the way. It's like a wall. But if you say, it's like, okay, I'm gonna go over the wall, and I'm also gonna look at my fear river, and I'm gonna make a decision. What's in it, really? It might be water for some. It might be the width for others. It might be the fact that it's like, oh my goodness, it looks amazing. Martin already said, but when you're in an airplane looking down, it's just like a little line in the sand. So it's all about perception, and it's about what you really want to do with it. V, thank you for retweeting and liking this. Josh, thank you for liking and retweeting. Kelly says, we all have to fight the notion only certain people deserve to be seen. It's crap. It really is. You are so welcome, Jeff. It's always a pleasure to see you. Jeff is a great streamer. Roy, he's an incredible streamer. He is so passionate about his topic that it is just incredible. It really is. And he's so inspiring. That's why I stopped by, and I have to say hello. Living chic ain't just about clothes, just saying. Sherry Lee, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Jeff is just saying hello. Thank you guys for keeping the conversation going with each other. I think that's important. Kelly, Meerkat shows love to people of all kinds. I love that so much. It's truly, truly very strengthening. Latrivia, I think it's Latrivia. You'll tell me if I said that right. Thank you for retweeting and liking this. Henry, good morning. So good to see you this morning. Thank you for liking and retweeting. Roy says, you're an awesome streamer. You're an awesome streamer. Also, keep it up. Oh, thank you, Roy. You're very, very kind to say that. I really appreciate you being here. Always a joy. Sarah says, hi, I have a couple minutes. Hey, Sarah, how are you? You know what? I don't want you to get in trouble. So don't say it's like, oh, the lady on Meerkat. You know, please, okay? Like I said, follow me so we can talk to each other offline. V says, people often focus external image rather than what a person has to offer. But that is what we've allowed ourselves to be trained to do, is looking at someone and then making a decision versus having this unfiltered, this is what I call an unfiltered opportunity. No one tells you who should or shouldn't be. You got a phone, stream. That's the filter. You got a phone, stream. No one tells you that person looks good, that person doesn't look good. You know, really, it's about what do you have to say. And those perceptions might be in the way of us really hearing amazing content, you know? So you've got to look at what's in your way. What are you afraid of? You know, what is it really? And not that you have to share it. You know, you don't have to tell anybody what it is. You just got to work on it and say, look, I'm going to kick it down and I'm going to cross that river. This is my week. This is my week. I'm not going to let my fear river stand in my way. Okay? You know what? That's why they make boats. All right? That's why there's a life raft. There are all kinds of tools out there. And we got a good one from Google, which is about how to really pull it apart in a more systemic way. So if you really want to look at that, just look in the chat and you'll see a Google reference to a CBT. That is super amazing. I'm so happy that someone submitted that, because I think that's one of the things that you can put in your tool chest and that will help you to keep going and beyond what you're looking at. Melissa says the 100-day promise speaks to those topics: motivation, facing fears, tapping into core values. I think it's really good. I think that this sounds amazing, and I'm really looking forward to seeing your guest. Jay says, I'm no handsome Jew, but I know that how I conduct myself and act still attracts some folks to want to be my friend or even just listen to my boring stories. You know what, Jay, but you're an amazing person. You are amazing, and it's not, you know what, it's amazing from the inside, and I don't think you're unattractive. I think that everybody has that attractive quality, and I think that's the part that you've connected with. You've connected with what you have to give, and that's why people want to hear you. In your sense of humor, you know, I think that all of those things enhance who we are, and I think that that's the strengthening part, that you have to know that everybody on this planet has something that they can offer. Betsy says, I'm afraid of so many things, but I'm working on that. I used to fear being on stream with Herbie, but all of you made me feel so comfortable that I'm thinking, you're thinking about streaming. I hope that's what that was going to be, that you're thinking about streaming. I would love for you to be streaming. That would be so awesome, Betsy. I really do. I truly would support you, and you know that, so you just have to let us know. Andy, thank you for liking and retweeting. I so enjoyed, you know, we've met each other in Meerkat, but I so enjoyed being on your stream, and I know you worked the swing shift, but I think you did an awesome job, and just really pleased that you were able to make it this morning. So, Bora, thank you for liking this. Andy says, you're awesome, very motivational. Oh, Andy, thank you so much. I really just appreciated so much being able to share that time with you, and I'm glad I was able to catch it, you know, because I've missed some of your streams before, so really, really happy, because you're super, super good guy. So it was a lot of fun. He is a nice person. I love how supportive and protective of other streamers. Yes, absolutely. So Sarah says, I won't. I'm just packing up my backpack, and my mom said she's gonna make pancakes. Ooh, love that. You're making us all hungry, Sarah. I'm just trying to tell you, you're making us all hungry. So Jennifer says, I'm thinking about starting what Do you feel like the differences between the Meerkat community and the Periscope community? Is there a difference? There is, but I think that should be discovery for you. You should make up your own mind about that. And I think that just starting, just go ahead and do it. I think it's wonderful. But you'll let us know, what you think. And you've been watching streams, so hopefully as you watch more streams, you'll get more comfortable. V says, I worked in retail sales and colleagues would judge on appearance. I had to force myself from that frame of thinking. You know what, V, I can tell you so many stories of where people were misjudged and huge sales were missed because someone else didn't. So there's so many stories like that I can just share, and I just think it's on us to be more responsible about it and to look at this as an opportunity, not as like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? But look at this as an opportunity to be fearless in a place where we are looking for people who are streaming, and everyone's looking for, hey, did you see this person? We share that information. I think it's just exciting. It's an exciting time to be in this platform. Nick, thank you for retweeting and liking this. Brendan, thank you so much for liking this. I really appreciate that. Kelly says, Kyle was talking about not seeing people by physical appearance. It's so different when you take that out of the equation. You know what, Kelly? Kyle, David, we have a lot of people on Meerkat that are not sighted, but they are so insightful. And I think we need to learn that when we aren't looking at things, and I'm sure, even if your eyes are closed and even if you can't see, there's things that everyone is afraid of. But I'm just saying that there's some insightfulness that we can gain from everybody. And we just have to take this opportunity. It's like, oh my goodness, I love listening to Kyle. He's so wise in the way he looks at things. It's a total paradigm shift. So, hey, you know what? Why not take advantage of that? Why not learn, from someone who is showing us, how to be basically fearless. He is a fearless guy, and if you listen to him, you can see that. Charlene, hey, Charlene, how are you? Thank you for liking and retweeting this. So good to see you. Sarah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Mama G, thank you. Good morning. Thank you for liking and retweeting this. Pablo, how are you? Thank you for liking and retweeting this. I have to tell you that those fish that you caught, OMG, they were super huge. You're like this massive fishing stream. Good morning, Lydia and Mir family. Hey, fearless. Looking at fearlessness. Absolutely, Mama G. You're so funny. I love those eyeballs. Brian, thank you for liking and retweeting this. So good to see you this morning, and I really appreciate you stopping in. And like I said, guys, there are so many streamers here that you really need to be following. Brian does great streams, and he's definitely someone you should be following. Martin absolutely should be someone you're following if you're not already. I like to float around like Batman. Meerkat is my Gotham. That's great. That is really good. I love that analogy. So we're talking about facing our fears. Kelly says, those were monster fish. I got some screenshots. Haha. I know I got some screenshots. I think I posted one. But yeah, they were some monster fish. But, Kelly and Pablo, who's Puerto Rican, they definitely are doing great streams. We're so benefited that they are streaming now. And that's the part that I want to say. It's like, you know what? If you're on the other side and like, oh my goodness, and you're stopping yourself from doing something that you really want to do, don't just assume that's like, okay, I'm just going to gun it. I'm just going to go through it. And you don't look closely at what is it? What is it that's really getting in the way? Josh says, I checked out Brian's stream briefly this morning. It seemed good. Yeah, Brian is a bright guy. He's really, really great. And he's got a wealth of information. So you guys should really be following him. Jay says, sorry, was away at work, but it's so amazing to see all the support given by this community. Thank you guys for being so positive. But honestly, and you cut off, so you need to maybe write that in the next tweet if you can. It just says, I'm here, but at work. So I can't comment like I want. You know what, Adrian, you're doing great, and we're so happy that you're here. Nick says, I look like two different people when I have my hair cut, styled, beard trimmed, and dress smell nice. There's a clear difference in how I'm treated when I'm dressed up. You know what, Nick, you bring up a really good point, because a lot of times we don't appreciate how we're presenting ourselves as being a dynamic in what we want to do, okay? But it takes some, that's why I said it's self-reflective. You've got to look at what is it that you can make a difference in, and there are always going to be controllables. There are always going to be things that you can do. But if you really just look at fear and say, oh my goodness, it's too monumental, I can't do anything, that's part of the problem. And so I think that that is why we sometimes aren't motivated, because we're letting fear dictate to us what we can or can't do. That's like some craziness. Fear doesn't have a mind of its own. We're looking at fear and say, why don't you tell me what I should do? Fear is going to say, don't do it. That's what fear is going to say. That's what fear always says. Okay? I'm just telling you. Hopefully this is not earth-shaking. But when you look at fear and you look at fear and say, hey, fear, why don't you just let me know? Should I do it? Should I not do it? And I'm talking positive things that can possibly make you grow, feeling like you can take the next level. Fear will tell you all day long, I wouldn't do it if I was you. Well really? And you're surprised by that. No, that's why we need to tell fear, look, you don't even have a clue. This is what I know about you. I'm going to look and I'm going to do an analysis on you. Fear, I'm going to break you down and I'm going to figure out what is it really that can put me into a bit different space. And I know I'm not going to let you tell me what to do. Not anymore. And people don't like to be told what to do, but we let fear tell us what to do every day. Sometimes, for some of us. You know what? We listen to it like it has the answers to life. No. Melissa says, once you get past the fear of success as an example and reach success, it becomes addicting and you go on to achieve more. You know what, Melissa? That's absolutely right. But I think that within that fear of success, there's certain things that we have to still do. You know, we still have to fortify ourselves. We have to be smart about how we spend our money. We have to know that we might overspend if we don't look at it closely. You know, those are the things that you've got to know about yourself, and you have to know about your fear. And you bring up a really good point that once you are past it, then yes, it is addicting. It is something that you just want to keep doing. It's like, wow, you know what? I was really afraid of that. Like I said, I shared with you about my fear of, you know, streaming. I'm going to tell you something. People are like, oh my goodness, Lydia, you know, your streams are so long. My streams are long because I enjoy talking to all of you. It is a passion. It doesn't have anything to do with it. I don't get paid for doing this. I love talking to you. And I didn't even know that. Okay, this is the crazy part. I didn't even know that. When I turned on the button, I pressed stream, had no clue that I was going to be like, oh my goodness, I so get charged with really having conversations. But you know what? You all are incredible. You're an incredible group. This is an incredible community. And I know that we can do great things if we will just get out of our own way. So Jay says, honestly, everyone here has something to offer here. And I wish every one of these beautiful people, every one of these beautiful people would stream. You know what? We're benefited by being able to see you and know that as individuals, we all have something to offer. Just chilling. Just us chilling? Just us chilling. Hey, just us chilling. How are you? Thank you for liking this. Sarah says, I can't wait to see the movie Inside Out to see what fear actually says. You know what? Oh, that sounds great. To see what fear actually says. I can't wait to see the movie Inside Out to see what fear actually says. You know what? That's a very prophetic comment, Sarah, and I'm really appreciate you being here. You've been a pleasure to get to know. Mama G says, I stream with no content and sometimes it turns out to be my most fun stream, LOL. You know what, Mama G, I think that people come because they enjoy you and they know what a great person you are. And Melissa says, fear is listening to your head, success is listening to your heart. Absolutely it is, but you know what? I think that there are things within us that are waiting to get out. And I think it could be both. It could be in both places. Because have you heard people say, oh, they didn't have heart? Well, you know, what does that really mean? It just means that they didn't push beyond their limits, and they didn't really just keep going for it. Preach, Lydia. Oh, thank you, Kelly. Jay says, Lydia, you're just kind and your streams are long, long ease. We love talking to you and won't shut up. But you know what? I love that. It doesn't bother me. So I enjoy being able to talk to you. But you're right. Everybody does have something to offer. And Melissa, you're absolutely right. The fear of success, we can think about it too hard, but we do need to, I don't want to negate thought. Okay, because you need to be thinking and put some thought into what's standing in your way, and really think about that, and really understand heart to heart with yourself what that is. Mama G says, "Ah, thanks. I love when you watch my streams, but then I want to be impressive because of you." Oh, you are so sweet, Mama G. You are an amazing lady, truly, truly talented. There's a lot there that I think, oh my goodness, you're always impressive. So I'm so appreciate that. It's very kind of you to say. Sometimes, Alice says, sometimes I just listen to stream because of the streamer, like hanging out with a friend and you never know what's up next. Absolutely you do. I agree with that. And B says, Lydia and Brian are my yoga and Tai Chi of the Meerkat. When I listen to them in the morning, they fill me with positivity. Oh, that's so wonderful, V. I'm so glad you feel that way. Gotta go. Bye-bye. Bye, Sarah. Thank you for being here this morning. Really enjoyed you. Really appreciate it. Respect. Totally. You know what? It was like autocorrect translation. Love that autocorrect. Melissa says, thank you, Lydia. I love how you put things in perspective. You know what? It's my pleasure, Melissa, and I enjoy so much, you know, having met you and being able to watch you stream as well. So for those of you who aren't following Mama G or Ms. Meliz, you need to be doing that because they're really awesome ladies. And that's why I said, you know what, the beauty of streaming is that everybody has something that they can talk about. Everybody has something that they can do. But this is a subject, like I said, that, you know what, I've been working on for a while, but I wanted to not try to conquer it all in one session. That's not what this is about. It's about looking at the fact that we're going to have to dive in at some point, and we want to be motivated. This is Motivation Monday. So if we're in Motivation Monday and we're trying to get ourselves motivated, what stands in the way? Because have you ever been in a situation where I was so motivated to do that? Okay, I was so motivated, and then I don't know what happened. That's kind of what happens. It's like, I don't know what happened. You know, I don't know. I'm not motivated anymore. Think about it. Mama G, you rule Meerkat in the morning. You're so put together. People are drawn to you. Oh, Mama G, you are so sweet. I don't look at it like that at all, but I so appreciate you, and I appreciate you being here. I appreciate everybody who's in the room right now. Ben, thank you for liking and retweeting as well. I appreciate everybody who's in the room right now because you all are helping. We're all helping each other in this conversation about fear, because here's what I will say. Everybody has something that's in the way or has been in the way. That's why I can share, you know, what have I, you know, been afraid of, or, you know, the whole streaming thing when I, you know, was like petrified about streaming and I made up excuses. Oh, it's the wrong time of day. I'm too busy. I made up excuses all day long why I didn't stream. Nobody's going to want to listen to me. Really? Come on, I shouldn't be streaming. I thought of all kinds of things. And the ultimate piece that I had to really recognize, all those excuses were just some craziness I made up in my own head. The ultimate reason why I didn't stream was because I was afraid. I was afraid of what people would think. You know, you put yourself out there, you're open to people being critical of you. You think that, well, you know what, people may not like me. You come up with some craziness that just is all up here. And then I said, wait, Melissa, you're absolutely right. She is, Mama G is amazing. I love watching Lydia and you too. It's like mind work and then the cool down. Know what I mean? Oh, Melissa, that's really very, very sweet of you. But Mama G is hilariously funny. She is somebody that hopefully you are definitely following. So just us chilling. I'm too positive to be doubtful, too optimistic to be fearful, and too determined to be defeated. Okay, Justice Chillin, I'm so happy to hear that, and I'm so happy that you've conquered whatever was in your way, and that you are focused on what you want to happen. And frankly, there are a lot of people who are in that space, and they've been successful with getting through and over everything they need to do, and they just nail it every single time. I think that's what, a lot of people in the room, that's where they want to be. That is the piece that they want to connect to. And the beauty of that is being able to see and hear such great positive energy coming through just us chilling. You know what? That should be a quote that you put down in a hashtag and you have on Twitter that's shared, because it's super, super motivational. Haha, we can be chatty. I'm really random. LOL. Thanks so much. Oh, you're so welcome. Fear convinced us to do the least effective things. Fear convinces us to do the least effective things. It will. It'll stop you from something that you're motivated to do. And just as chillin', like I said, that's a quote that should be out there on Twitter, and we should be passing that around because it's really pretty awesome. And I think that is an optimal point to be, so that we don't shortchange our lives by looking at something that could clearly stop us from making it happen. Jay says, once you replace negative thoughts with positive thoughts, you'll start having positive results. Love that, Jay. Absolutely. And Ahmed, how are you? How are you doing this morning? So good to see you. Absolutely. So, you know what? Thank you for liking this too. I really appreciate it, Ahmed. But like I said, when you're say you're not at the point where you're super confident about everything that you're doing, and you're not focused, and you still are working on some things, and you feel like, oh my goodness, you know what? Look at what I've done in the past. Matthew says the ultimate thing that stops us is fear. We just like to mislabel it. You know what, Matthew? That's what I'm saying. It stops us from being motivated. It stops us from success. It stops us from doing a lot of things that we need to do. It is a great quote. It is a great quote, Melissa. And that's why I said, just us chilling. So happy you're here this morning. And I'm so happy that you added that to the conversation, because it is something that I truly do think that everyone needs to be. That's the space that you want to get to. But it's really very easy to say. It's like, you know what? You meet people who are awesome like you, that are doing it, that are making it happen. You are our inspiration, our source of inspiration. But I think that in order for us you can read all the books, you can do a lot of the exercises, but there's one thing that you really need to do, and the exercises will help, the books will definitely help. All of those things are very important, but we have to face ourselves. We have to face ourselves at some point. We can't get around that. Hey, eMusic Cafe. Hey, Mark, how are you? Good morning. Thank you, Mama G. You can't get around that. After a point, you can read all the books and it's like, well, it's always about somebody else, not about yourself. But when you really see that you are when you really see what you need to do and where you are, you can actually make some very smart decisions. Ahmed, Sarah. Okay, talking to one another. Thank you, Mark, for liking this. I really appreciate that. So good to see you this morning. So the point that we're making is, for Motivation Monday, is Lydia has triple shots with Mama G. Absolutely, that sounds fun. But what you have to understand is that's getting in our way of being motivated. It just is. Matthew says, Lydia, do you actually ever have lattes on the morning show? You know what? Are you just trying to? I've got coffee. I don't have lattes, but I'm working on that. I will definitely get some lattes. So guys, I really do appreciate you being here this morning. I really do appreciate you hanging out with me and having this conversation about something that's really getting in your way. A lot of people want to do something, Just as I just finished a mocha, if that counts. Absolutely. You know what? Everybody's got their coffee. Everybody's got their latte. That's really wonderful. The whole point is just chilling. You have to reprogram your mind. The only reason people fear is because they are afraid of the unknown and failure. Just don't be afraid to fail because of the unknown. And you do have to reprogram your mind. So just as chilling, you're absolutely right. To get to this point of understanding that what you're thinking is just wrong and you are misconceiving what is going to happen, you got to replace that. There's an opportunity for you to replace that with something that you really want to happen and to give that more space, more bandwidth than what you don't want to happen. So, but before you can even get to that point, I wish I had a latte. You know what? I actually am working on that, getting a latte. I like coffee, just regular coffee, but you know, latte sort of had a nice ring to it. A latte with J. So the point that I was making about it is when you're looking at that is the first step, because you know, before you can make changes, the positive changes that you want to make, you've got to look at what you can do in order to get through this. Okay, so you have to look at what can you do to get through this. The first thing you have to do is really recognize that what you're trying to do and what you are doing is without failure, there's no success. You know what? There's so many people who say fail fast, fail fast, fail fast, fail big. Because when you fail fast, fail big, then you can get to the other side. Then it's not in the way anymore. It's like me talking about my mom. Knowing this, like, oh, my mother, if my mother passes, what's going to happen? How am I going to be successful? You know, how am I going to, I'm not going to have a good best friend anymore. I like coffee anyway. I can get it. Well, absolutely, right? And you think about all these things that are just like so epic. And if you have your parents, I say celebrate them every single day. I can only tell you how much it is just amazing. But my parents are gone. That was one of my fears. Is what am I going to do? What am I going to do? How am I going to handle it? And the one thing that I realized is they taught me to represent. Okay, when I say represent what they taught. Represent how to move forward, how to share, how to be, you know, supportive to people who are around you. And that was the piece that I got out of it. It became a success engine for me because I'm able to pull from it. But the point is, before I could even get there, I had to face the fact that, yeah, I was afraid of that. I was epically afraid of that. But on the other side of it, it's clear to me that those are things that were just in the way for no reason. Without failure, there's no success. Failure is the road to success. Absolutely. Melissa says, make goals and achieving them is my motivation. That's really good. I'm so glad that you're doing that, and I think that's really fantastic. Julie, thank you for liking and retweeting. So glad you dropped in. We're talking about facing failure and we're all standing at the river that's called fear. And to some, it is definitely minuscule. It's super, super small. It's a puddle in the sidewalk and you just walk over it. That's what it feels like to you. Or you don't see it at all because you're in a sunny day. You're in a sunny day place where when I was living in Florida, it rained. It's like, bam, you know what? Half an hour later, no rain anywhere. That is optimal. If you're in a space like that and you know that you can get through it and you know that it's going to go away. If you know that, then you're in a good place with fear because you recognize it for what it is. It is definitely not permanent and it definitely isn't going to hold you back. So Matthew says, you are honoring your parents with your success and your goodness. Oh, thank you, Matthew. I really appreciate that. They raised us for years. My mother talked about, you know, I'm not always going to be here. You know, I'm not always going to be here. You know what? Didn't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I don't even want to talk about it. But the point is this, that was one of my fears. And you have to live through it. And you know that, you know what? Can you be better? Absolutely. Can you get through it? Absolutely. Is it conquerable? Absolutely. But we're on this planet for a short amount of time and we got to figure it out. Got to say, you know what? Am I going to stop doing what I need to do because of whatever this is? Define it yourself. And then you can't move on. No, absolutely not. Jay says, I've started making positive changes for my streams, Lydia. I've started getting my playlist together for viewers that are in the Super 70s club. Oh, Jay, Jay, please. Hey, Anastasia, how are you? So good to see you. So good to see you this morning. Thank you for retweeting this. And Gerald says, failure only exists in the absence of learning. Absolutely. That's a great quote as well, Gerald. Thank you so much. And you know what? The more you can focus your efforts on things that are going to be positive to replace that, absolutely. Melissa says, so true, Matthew, and that's so special, honoring your parents and yourself. You know what? It's what you have to do. Hashtag hot. Hey, Anastasia, thanks for passing through. So Sherry said, losing my mother-in-law was a huge fear for me. I leaned on her a lot. I had to learn to pull from my own strength after she passed. Not easy. No, it isn't. But here's what I'm saying, that those are fears. You know, we have these fears. We actually face these fears and we think, oh my goodness, how it's gonna be horrible. How am I gonna get through that? How am I gonna live through it? You know what? The fact is, whatever it is you're facing, if you really pull it apart and you really look at it, certain things, you know what, life happens to all of us. It's not gonna be perfect. It's not gonna be this space where we're in and everything goes smoothly. That's not what it is. But what it is going to be is an opportunity for us to look at it and say, you know what, we can be so much better and we can live with so much more if we, first of all, recognize what we are afraid of. That's it. Got to know what that is, what that really is. And it's not about, someone can't give that to you, okay? Someone can't tell you this is what you're really afraid of. So I'm not trying to tell you that. I think that that is an internal conversation you need to have with yourself about really pulling it out of you. And then once you get that out, you can take everyone's advice. You can read great books. You can have life-changing moments. But until you figure out what that piece is, until you know exactly what it is, it's always going to be in the way. No matter what you read, no matter what you watch, you know what? It's not going to make a difference in your life because you are stopped by that one thing. Joe says, I spoke to Brian about streaming and he said it was just pride that can hold you back. I never thought of it that way. Yeah, Joe, you're absolutely right. It could. It absolutely is pride that could hold you back. Thank you for retweeting and liking this. I really appreciate it. Hey, Joe, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you saying that and adding that to the conversation. Thank you for retweeting and liking. Just Us Chilling. You guys should listen to at Grant Cardone. He can help you get through fear. You know what? He's a great guy and he does a lot about money. He does a lot about life lessons. And I think that he is amazing at what he does. And you should definitely be following him if you're not following him already. But the conversation that we're having right now about getting through this is really something that I think that no matter who you listen to, whether it's me or someone else, that is something that you've got to really be willing to come to terms with. And Just Us Chillin', he's got it all nailed down. You know what? Grant Cardone got it all nailed down. I'm going to tell you right now. Super bad, both of them. But what you need to do in order to be able to take that advice and to be able to hear everything that people are saying, got to have that conversation with yourself. You really do. And those guys have already had it. They've already nailed it. They've got success out there and they are knocking it out of the way. You know what? But I think that there is definitely in everyone's path something that's stopping you. And I don't know what it is. I'm not trying to tell you. But you know what? There are a lot of people in this community that can help you. They can help you define it. They can help you get it together. But at the one thing that I will tell you, that no one can tell you, truly tell you what you are afraid of. We don't have that power. We can help you. I can help you get through fear. Grant can help you. Just Us Chillin' can help you. But nobody can tell you what that is. Period. Not possible. Because we're not in your head. We don't know your life. We don't know any of that. Not even going to try to make pretend that we do. Matthew says, I crashed and stumbled and tumbled, but I did not crumble. I didn't know my own strength. You know what? Love that. It's a phenomenal quote. Mama G, yep, it's not given. Absolutely. Gerald says we are so much better. We totally are. And Mama G, it's a mind trick. Isn't it? Melissa says, Joe, pride. Pride is huge. And I know you guys are talking. Says Joseph says, if you light up a cigar, you'll be on par with Grant Cardone. That is so funny, Joe. But you know I don't smoke. Libby, good morning. How are you? So good to see you. Thank you for liking and retweeting this. Just us chilling. You are correct. You know what? I'm going to say this. There's a ton of people out here. Trust me when I tell you, I have read, listened, looked at so much material. I can't even begin to tell you. My library, vast, full of books about all kinds of success, business, leadership, you know, all of those things all together. They're great, truly, truly great. But I'm going to tell you something, that I don't care who you are. You know, we're all here in this room together. I can't get into your head. Not possible. I'm not trying to get into your head. I want you to get into your head and say, I'm going to be motivated, but you know what? I'm going to have that hard conversation, me, myself, and I. We're just going to be in a room together, and I'm going to have it out with what is it that's stopping me? What really is it? And I don't care. You know what? I don't want you to put it out there. You don't have to talk to me about it. But the truth is, only you know. Only you know. That's it. Only you know. You're the only one who knows what you're really afraid of, what's stopping you from doing great things. Great things. And I think great things are within all of us. I think that you are capable of doing something truly epic. Lee, thank you for liking and retweeting. And Gerald says, the only things that stop anyone is themselves. Absolutely. It is what's stopping you. Rod says, no cigar, it would bring back the memory of Bill and Monica. Oh, you are so funny. That is hilarious. Josh says, well, sometimes brick walls stop people too. Kind of hurts when it does, though. You know what, Josh? It does. And that is one of those things that I just say that you have to just, you know, you weather through it. You may be bruised a little bit, but you can still keep going. Clifton says, tell them about Neiman Marcus becoming a store manager. So that's not a story I talk about a lot. Clifton loves for me to tell the story. Is like, you know, a little bit of, it's a little boring, I think. But I understand, Clifton, stop. You have to understand. The story of me becoming a store manager really started with the store first opening, and I went for an interview and was turned down. I was turned down. A few years later, and I was determined. I was like, wow, you know what? I was really disappointed by that. Fear of rejection. You know, you get rejection. That's why I can talk about it so much, because I've had have experienced a lot of it. But it can either stop you or it can motivate you. It motivated me, and I learned more about my craft. I learned more about retail. I learned more about what to do. I learned more about leadership. I learned more about organization, time management, motivating people, pulling group teams together, making the operation what it needed to be. I learned everything I possibly could. And within a few years, I was recruited by them. They came to me and wanted me to be an assistant store manager. Actually, they not only wanted me to be an assistant store manager, they wanted me to be a store manager. That was their goal. So that's why I was recruited. And that's how I got recruited to Neiman Marcus. But it was before that rejection. It was before, you know, being told that, you know, we don't think that you would be a good fit. Sometimes people hear that and they're turned off. You can either say, you know what? That's going to be right for me, or there's something else I need to do. It can either stop you or it can start you. But you gotta know, what is it? What is it that's in your way? What is it that's making you not motivated? Because for some people, that would be, you know, an epic fail. It's like, oh my goodness, you know what? I can't believe it. And it wasn't even for a store manager's position that I was interviewing for. But you know what? That's what I ended up doing. I worked for them for 8 years, 3 different cities. You know what? It was great. But I'm just saying that all things are possible, but you got to get out of your way first. If you're going to make that happen, trust me, none of those things are easy. You know, None of those things are simple. It's not about simple. It's not about easy. It is about looking at it and saying, you know what? Look, I'm going to have this conversation. Tonight is going to be my conversation. Me, myself, and I, we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about what's up here. You can watch people all day. You can watch me. We're talking about it right now. But I'm telling you right now, that conversation that you have with yourself is the most powerful conversation you'll ever have. Better than listening or, watching or following anybody. It is the most powerful conversation you can have. But you gotta, we gotta be brave. Gotta be, ready to, you yourself and I might be crying at the end of it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how painful it is. You just have to be willing to get in there and say, you know what? I'm too great. I am too great to let this get in the way. And then, hey, follow who you want. Read who you want, because it will all help you, because then you've opened up. You've opened up the door, and so the information can get in and fortify you. But as long as you were sitting in a room and you have not faced what that is at your fear river, I'm telling you right now, it's not gonna make a difference. My daughter Julie is here. I recommend you as a role model. I recommended you as a role model. Oh, Joseph, that is so sweet of you to do that. Hi, Julie. So glad you're here. So glad to, meet you virtually. Hopefully we'll be able to meet one day. Cliffy, thank you so much for liking this. Sherry says, I love that Gary Vee says anyone can have a good idea, but successful people execute those ideas. You're absolutely right. And Melissa says, have it out with me, myself, and I. Hashtag Motivation Monday. Thank you, Melissa. Rod says, thank you, Rod, for retweeting and liking this. And Josh says, I was actually meaning that as a joke, but I suppose it works as a metaphor too. It really does. It really does. No audio. Okay. Does everybody else not have any audio? Conclave says he doesn't have any audio. And Keith, thank you for liking and retweeting. Got it. So you might have to restart your phone. You might have to restart, you may have to come out and come back in. Joseph says the hand has good suggestions. He does. He does. He definitely has good suggestions. Matthew says, I heard a great quote yesterday. Sometimes rejection is God's protection. You know what? I do believe that. And I actually think that there are a lot of times when things don't go exactly as planned. That's because God is something else for you. I'm just going to tell you right now. He is something else for you. And you know what? You either can say, I can't believe, and start flailing around, or you can say, you know what, it's nothing to do but to just say, you know what, I'm going to be fine. And it's going to be fine. And you're talking yourself through it. But I'm telling you, before you can get to that place where you can be okay with rejection, I don't care whether people say hi to me or not. I don't care, what somebody says, oh, whatever. You know what? And it's like, I'm going to take it back to streaming. So you're streaming and someone says, I don't like your stream. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? If that's your fear, somebody's saying, I don't like your stream. Okay, deal with it. Shake it off. Keep it moving. And you make it better. Take what they said. Maybe it was good. Maybe it was some good stuff that'll help you to be even better. Maybe. I don't know. And I'm not going to try to tell you what it is. But I'm just saying that once you've identified what that thing is, what it is that's standing in your way? You only know that. None of us on this platform, nobody on this planet can tell you that but you. Jay says, I'm planning of incorporating talks on hot topics such as denture care, medicine, schedules, early scheduling. Oh, Jay. You are so wrong. You are so wrong. You are so wrong. Here I am. My audience is everybody. I'm not mad at anybody. Okay. So I'm just letting you know. Melissa says, I am too great to get this, to let this get in the way. Hashtag Motivation Monday. You know what? Absolutely. It is one of those things where I say that you've got to really look at what you're doing. And you have to understand that what's up here is actually something that can be truly, truly stopping you from one of the greatest successes you've ever seen. And I'll be honest, there are a lot of people who are going to, I'll be honest with you, there are a lot of people on this planet that will sell you something. You know what? I'm not going to say I won't sell you something one day, but I will tell you the truth about what you need to do and where you need to be before you even buy. Even if I had something to sell you, which I don't, what I have is just the truth of knowing that in order for you to buy something and make it work, if you have not had that conversation first, you're going to be wasting your money. And I think that what we have, the world is a great place. There's so many wonderful tools. There's so many great people. There's so many things that you can learn. Like I said, Grant Cardone, great guy. Really, really amazing. But to use and to really leverage all of this material out there that you need to use and you want to take advantage of and you want to be successful, if you have not had this conversation standing on the brink of Fear River, of what you're really afraid of, how's it going to get through? Because you'll hit a brick wall because you really haven't faced it. And I can't tell you what that is. I don't know. You know what? I just know that, you know what? I've had to have that candid conversation with myself. Really? You're gonna come up with that flimsy excuse? That's crazy. I've had to have that conversation with myself, by myself, to recognize that, you know what, it's a conversation that we just need to have. It's okay. But if it gets you through to have some clarity and being able to take all the phenomenal tools that are on this planet to leverage them and make yourselves better. Sherry says it's easier to believe the negative stuff that we tell ourselves. Have to change the conversation in our brains. Nobody can tell you that. There really isn't. And you're absolutely right. We have to figure out, why am I afraid of fill in the blank? Why? You know, have you read that book by Simon Sinek, Start With Why? Well, there's a really good reason for that, because it fuels everything else. Libby says, preach, hashtag preach. I just love you, Libby. Oh my goodness, love you back, Libby. So appreciate you. Hiram. Is it Hiram? Let me know if I said that right. Hiram, thank you for retweeting this. I really appreciate that. Melissa says, I call it listening to your inner sweetheart rather than your inner critic. Absolutely. You know what? It's a great way to embrace yourself and know that you can have that inner voice. Thank you so much, Joe, for doing a catch. And Keith says, don't be boxed in, like it. Right? You know what? We box ourselves in all the time. You know that, right? We do box ourselves in. We tell ourselves that, you know, what you are doing and what you want to do is limiting, or the audience isn't going to be there, or, you know, you'll never sell it. You know, you hear so much craziness, and we're not just talking negativity, but we're just talking from a fear perspective. Then fear starts putting up excuses that really will balance what you're afraid of. So that's why I said, if you don't know what you're really talking to or what you're really listening to, then it's going to be very difficult. Good morning, Tammy. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for retweeting and liking this. And Gerald, thank you. So we're the only thing that stands in our way. You know what? But we got to know that and believe it. Mama G said, your evil twin tries to sell me. Oh my goodness. Justice Chillin says, I'm from Periscope. Just was checking out Meerkat now. I'm following you, LOL. Oh my goodness, Justice Chillin. I am so glad. I'm honored that you're here. And I'm so glad that you dropped in. Because, you know, the truth is we need all these voices, and hopefully you stream as well, because I'd love to see your streams. You sound like an awesome person. And I tell everybody, you know, I come into this platform to just tell you the truth. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. I'm not trying to be something else. It's too hard. You know, it's just too hard. I just come here so we can have a candid conversation, and this fear conversation has been percolating. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here and saying and interjecting these positive, strong statements, because they are possible. On the other side of this is definitely some strength and some power. That's all it is. If you can connect with that, then you know what? I'm trying to tell you, it's all good. It's all good. And then you are out of your own way, really out of your own way. Not just telling people you're out of your own way, but you're really out of your own way so you can be super amazing to those around you. Absolutely. Gerald says, your perception is your projection. It really is. It really is. Very much so. I love the truth. Oh, thank you so much for being here, Melissa. Tindaje, how are you? Thank you for liking this. I really appreciate this. Just as chilling, you are correct. You have to want to change first. You know what? Nothing happens until that happens, and you want to change, but here's what happens. So you want to make changes. This happens every year. Most people call it a New Year's resolution. I'm going to do all of these things, okay? But if you haven't looked at why haven't they happened up to this point? You know, why haven't they happened up to this point? And then what am I afraid of making them really happen? Not just saying that I'm going to make it happen, excuse me, but really making it happen. There's a lot of things inside. Like I said, this conversation is, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your participation, because there's so much of just making that one call to yourself and having this candid conversation about, you know what, I am not going to be afraid any longer. I'm not going to be afraid any longer. And I'm going to look fear straight in the eye. It's going to be me and you. Okay? It's going to be me and you, fear. I'm going to look you in the eye, and it's on. Because now I see you for who you are. And I know exactly who you are. I'm not just trying to put it in quotation marks. I know exactly who you are to me. That's the conversation that we have to have. Who is fear to you? What is it you're absolutely afraid of? And only you can answer that. Thank you. I'm very motivated. Woo! Tony, you know what? I'll try to hook you up, right? You know that, right? One of my first viewers, and I have an SUV just for you. Jay says, I will forever be using an air horn for those that might be asleep outside my scheduled afternoon nap this time sessions. You're ever using an air horn for those that might be asleep outside of my scheduled afternoon time. Oh, I see. So you can wake everybody up to make sure they get there. Got it. It took me a while to read that. So sorry, James. How are you? So glad you're here. Logical thinking, just as chilling. You have to be committed, right? Because there's a part of you that will want to quit. You're going to be having this conversation. Nobody else is around. You're going to want to quit on yourself because it's too hard. I don't really want to know that much about myself. I don't want to really know that I'm really afraid of this, or I'm afraid that I might fail, or not just fail, but I'm afraid I'm going to fail on this, and that everybody's going to see me. You know what? You're absolutely, you've got to be committed, and you have to say, no matter what it is, I'm going to face it. I'm going to have this conversation, and we're going to have it out no matter how difficult it is. And it may take me days to get to it, but I am going to keep going until I can name exactly what I'm afraid of. Gerald, we all want to change. You have to decide to change now. Yes, you do. And you're absolutely right. David, thank you for liking and retweeting this. Alan says, as always, this is a great way for me to start off my day and the week. Unfortunately, I'll have to check out the rest on Katch. Bam. Hey, bam to you too. And Sue, Ashley, first time watcher, Lydia. Hey, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're able to tune in. And I'm really happy that you were able to hopefully participate in the conversation. And James says, I'm doing great. Great topic of debate. Oh, thank you, James. I'm so glad to hear that you like the topic. And, it's one of those, it's very personal because we all have something that maybe we don't like. And I'll say that, the topic of fear could be something about your past. So, there are a lot of different topics of fear, but you figure it out. Which one is it? Is it in the future? Is it in the past? James says, I'm just tuning in before I get ready for work. Hope you have a great day. Oh, thank you, James. And so glad you stopped through. It's always a pleasure to see you. So you have to decide, what it is. And then you have to, like I said, have that heartfelt conversation with yourself. It doesn't have to be anybody else present. It doesn't have to be witnessed by anybody in order for it to be valid. Melissa says, good points, Lydia. Fear of getting to the truth and realizing the answers to those questions is a fear. It is. And if you don't think that it's true or real, you know what? You will quit on yourself. I want change. You can say all the right things. I want change. I want a better life. I want to live my dreams. You know what? And I'm going to make it happen. You can say all the right things. But when the rubber hits the road, and Christina, how are you? So good to see you. Thank you for liking and retweeting. When the rubber hits the road, you got to be like okay with having that conversation. Really. That conversation, the one that no one can tell you about, the one that, you know what, I don't care how many books you read, you just, no one can have that but you. But you got to have it in order to move forward. I don't fear risk. I fear if risk doesn't work out. I don't fear risk. I fear if the risk doesn't work out. James, I hear you, because some of the fear is, what if I lose it all? Just gonna put it out there. That's a fear. What if I lose it all? And Christina, good morning to you. Meow. Okay, that's so funny. Just as chilling. Well, I talk later. Got to work now. I'm a GSM over a car dealership. Have a blessed day. Oh, I'm so glad you were here. Just as chilling. It's been a pleasure. You know what? I would love to come and see you if I was interested in buying a car. You know, I don't know what city you're in, but I'm really, really, really pleased that you were able to be here with us today. And Tammy says, what's so scary too is making a choice and fearing it's the wrong choice. Absolutely it is. And you know, all of these things are really real. But there are people who've lived through them and saw the other side. Jerome, thank you. Faith in Self, absolutely. You know, so if you haven't read, you know, Justice Chilling, you need to be following him. I know he's new to, he came over to Meerkat today and he's been on Periscope before, but really, you know, I'm looking forward to him streaming if he plans to. And Lindsay, hey, how are you? Thank you for retweeting and liking this. I really appreciate that. And Jerome, thank you so much for your comment. And Melissa says, thank you for liking this. And Glenn, hello from Makati, Philippines. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you're here. And you're here from Indiana. That's fantastic. So Lindsay and I'm trying to think of who else is here. Melissa, there's several streamers that are here that you need to follow. Like I said, everyone's content is different. So you have an opportunity to, you know, really experience a lot of people on Meerkat, which I think is super, super cool. Ali, thank you for liking this. I really appreciate that. Hi to you too. James says, I've taken a few risks over the last decade, and one of them allowed me to live my life the way I wanted to here. You know what, James? You are an inspiration to us, and know that you took a risk and it worked out. It doesn't mean that all your risks work out, but it means that you're living the life that you want right now. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here and sharing that with us, because it's super motivating and inspiring for us to know that it's possible. You know what? It's all possible. Tammy says, what was his name again, please? Okay, Just Us Chilling. Just Us Chilling. Just Us Chilling. Just US and then chilling without the G. Tony says, I had to make the decision to stream. I was looking for support from family members to help with the stream, but I know I have to make it happen. I will not wait on anyone. You know what? That is really so incredible. You did an awesome job. I loved your stream, and I really got a lot of information out of it. And Gerald says, faith in God. Absolutely. You know what? I do believe that, and I don't know how I would be moving if I didn't have him. That's the honest to God truth. Christina says, Lydia, I've been on a 52-week training, learning how doubt, guilt, shame, and worry at the root of fear. You know what? It is, Christina, I would say that is fantastic. So you're on the path of getting to the real reasons why, you know, what fear is all about. But I will say that at the root of it, There's some practical lessons, some practical practices that you can put into that you can actually look at. They're listed in the chat where you can take some. There are a lot of exercises that you can take about trying to get to what if it's deeply embedded, trying to understand what it really is. But the one thing that I will say is you can do all of those lessons and still never name it because you're afraid to. So part of it is the decision of really saying, no matter what it is, no matter how ashamed or guilty or whatever it is no matter how I feel about it, that I'm still going to name it so I can get over it. So it won't have a hold on me anymore. Lindsay, good morning to you too. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you tuning in. Angelica, how are you? Thank you for liking this. And Keith is just saying hello to Adrian. Wow, awesome, James. It really is. You know, we've had some awesome comments here, and I think that is the thing that we need to really look at. There's a lot of inspiration that's just been shared because people living their life, and there's a lot of strength in that because you know that these are real sharings. These are people who've gone through maybe something that you've experienced, but they're on the other side and they're really feeling the success. Trust in self, absolutely. Gerald, you know what? You have to know that there's definitely a power, you know, that's within you, but you have to be willing to go through some of the fire walking. You know, you have to walk through some coals. You know, there's some people who do that. You know, you walk through coals and you come out on the other side because that may have been something that you're afraid of. But ultimately, you have to be willing to say, I am definitely going to face this. Angelica, faith in God will move mountains. It does, and it has. Absolutely. Thank you for retweeting this. Jay is just speaking to James. Lee says, the fear is a neutral pathway you've created in your brain for some reason in your path. It's the shortest path as you play that over and over again. Lee, you really hit the nail on the head. You're absolutely right. Please make sure that, you know, Lee is he's an amazing person on this platform. He's probably one of our premium viewers. We have several premium viewers in the audience. Please make sure you're taking notes, okay? Because I do capture my cast, so this will be captured. So if you're interested and you want to see a copy of it or what we talked about, you can do a #Katch. Christina, this convo is confirmation to me that I think I'll start streaming with this subject in mind. Now I know what is needed. You know what, Christina, I'm so happy you're here, and I only wish you the best and look forward to being able to watch your stream. Lee says, one needs to retrain yourself to think a different way. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And that's not easy. Okay. It's not easy for you to really figure out what that is. James says, you're welcome. Being scared is just a small part of that much bigger picture. The euphoria you feel after something works out dispels any type of fear, right? But if you hadn't worked through that, then you wouldn't have had the euphoria. I think we're all waiting to see Christina's stream, so it'll be really super phenomenal. Angelica, that's all it takes, my friend. Talking to Keith. Allie, thank you. Hi, how are you? James says, train your mind to let go of what you fear most to lose. And that is the part that I was saying that, you know what, once you're able to do that, you will see some amazing feats. Thank you for liking this. Linda Martin, hey, good morning. Thank you for liking this. And just saying hello, James. Thank you for liking and retweeting. I really appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you sharing because, you know, like I said, I don't take those shares lightly. When you're able to share with the community and when you're able to share with the people in the room, you know, what you broke through, you know, and it's not always comfortable. But when you broke through, it's definitely helping a lot of other people. It's definitely making a difference because, you know what, everyone isn't in the same place. Hey, Dan, how are you? Thank you for liking this. Really appreciate that. It's good to see you this morning. You realize that those are things that I'm a premium viewer. Yay, gold star on my fridge today. It is true. It's all true, Lee. You know you are. You know, you're a premium viewer, and you know, we're benefited by that. Awesome words of knowledge too. He does. He really does. And you know, all the things he said are all true. They are all very real. So, Gerald says, what I do when I find myself afraid is ask myself what I do if I wasn't afraid, and how much better would I feel once I've done it. Fear is defeated by action. Yes, it is. It is. But I don't want to negate that conversation is what, you know, when you ask yourself the question, you know, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? But really asking yourself, what are you afraid of? It really is super amazing how freeing that is. Nurse Sultan, thank you for liking this. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you, you know, contributing to the conversation. And the one thing that I will say is, you know what, we're in this space. We're in a unique space. We're in a space where we can take two different pathways. Okay. Margot, how are you? Good morning. How are you? I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being here. Absolutely. Ray Brown _me. Check this, my man. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, James. But, you know, we can take several different pathways. We can take the easy pathway, which is, you know, looking at all the things that make us feel good. You know, and there are a lot of things that make us feel good. But this is Motivation Monday. And I've done a lot of motivation, okay? I've read a lot of motivation. I've read a lot of phenomenal people, and I've watched a lot of phenomenal content. But I'll be honest, you know, that when I got stuck with being able to do the stream, when I got stuck trying to do the stream, I realized that it wasn't about anything that I read. It wasn't about anything that I saw. It was really about me recognizing that, you know, I had some misconceptions about myself, and I'm not trying to say that I felt like, oh, my stream was that great. You know, that's not the point. It was really about me saying, regardless of whether it is or not, regardless of whether anybody comes to watch me or not, regardless of whether it's an epic fail or not, I'm still going to go for it. And I'm going to realize that I'm going to learn something valuable, regardless of what happens on the other side. It will be another life lesson that I can add to my tool belt. So Jay says the community is so diverse. We have folks that have come from both positive and negative backgrounds. Absolutely. And I found that all of these folks have the ability and power to help one another. That is why I said we're in a really amazing place. And if we can get past what we really are afraid of, and we can take advantage of where we are, there are great things that I think can happen. There are great things that we can do for each other. There are great things that are about the fact that we're a worldwide community having a conversation. Think about this. We're a worldwide community, and we're having a conversation about having a fear discussion with ourselves. And the perspectives feel the spectrum. It's not about one mind. It's about knowing that we're in a place where everybody's perspective is valuable, whether you're afraid or not. That's not the point. The point is we're in this room and we can lift each other up, and we can actually say, you know what, we leave this room and it will not change until we say we're going to have this valuable conversation, number one, with ourselves. And then you're all smart people. There's tons of material out there that will help you to grow from there. But the one thing that no one can do for you is to have that one conversation that you might be afraid of having, even with yourself. Excuse me, with no one around. Mike, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for liking and retweeting. It's always a pleasure to see you. Jay, thank you for liking this. And Jojo, how are you, Jojo? Good morning from GA. Glad you're here. Libby says, this is my favorite action, creates motivation. For me, getting and just doing something that furthers my goal helps overcome a lot. Fear, laziness, featuring laziness or procrastination, I think is what you're getting ready to say. Action does create motivation. But here's, I've seen, there are a lot of techniques out there that really work. Action does definitely gets you motivated. We're talking long-term long term, have you had that conversation? If you've had, I'm so happy that you're in the room, because then you know first off that it's something that really doesn't, it's life changing. When you can have that one little conversation that no one can have with yourself. I joke around a lot, but honestly, my ears are open to all of you. You know what, Jay? Our ears are open to you too, and I so appreciate you being here. I appreciate everybody who's in the room and the conversation that we're having right now about this space. So we're standing in a unique space where we can actually make, earth-shattering, groundbreaking progress within our own lives. And then we can take advantage of a lot of the things that are out there and available for us to be, that can be used and consumed. They'll support, what we want to do. But before we can get there and before any of that can help us, we have to really understand. We have to really understand what that is. I try and help when and where I can. You do an awesome job. Sergio, how are you? Thank you for liking this. Kelly says, today each of us has an opportunity. We can commit to taking it seriously beyond the stream. No question. Gerald says, thank you for what you do, Lydia. Have a wonderful day. Oh, thank you, Gerald. I appreciate you being here, and I really appreciate you for all of your comments. They've been awesome. And fear is a mind killer. It is, David. You're absolutely right. I believe it's Jojo. Jojo says, awesome. Oh, we're happy to have you here. I'm so glad you're participating in the conversation. So Lisa says, I feel everyone is holding themselves back because of how they feel about themselves, due to something that they thought about, self, or something else. And I'm not sure what the last word was, but you're absolutely right, that we are a world of people who are holding ourselves back. But the one conversation that you really need to have, and you can have it with a therapist, you can have it by yourself, you can have it with somebody else you love, you decide how you want to frame it and what you want to do. You know what? Because I'm not going to say that any one place is some place you need to be, because I can't speak to that. I really don't know. But I think that you can know where you might need help having the conversation, which means that's what professionals are for. You might need to have a loved one to have the conversation, because maybe it's about them. I don't know. You know what? But you've got to first figure out that the conversation needs to be had and be willing to do it. Hey, Hassan, how are you? Thank you for liking this. Linda says, fear equals false evidence appearing real. It does, and it's truly, truly true. Darren, good morning. Thank you for retweeting this. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you for liking this as well. Tammy says, the stream's content, in my opinion, is important. It's okay for some fun times, but when taught something, even better. Oh, Tammy, absolutely. I think it's important that we are able to take advantage of this platform. I mean, you know what? It's a huge learning and opportunity for us to share. Rebel, thank you for liking and retweeting this. It's even better. Totally understand what you meant. Mike says, whoo, that was close. Big Boss just stopped at my desk and I was watching Lydia. Oh my goodness, Mike. That is so hilarious. But I'm glad you're here and don't want you to get into trouble. Hey, Los, good morning. What did I miss? We're talking about fear. So good to see you this morning. We're talking about fear, and we're talking about really having this core conversation about what are you really afraid of. Not one that you have to share with everybody, but it's just this one conversation where you can have with yourself, what am I really afraid of? And that's the answer. You know, when you decide what that is, Los, when you decide what that is, and when you really pulled it apart and you know that it hurts to hear it, and you've got that core of what you're really afraid of, then you know what, you can move forward. Super powerful. Margot, thank you for liking this. Los, thank you so much for liking this. Stefano, thank you for liking this. It's a powerful position to be in. It's a place where you can basically jumpstart where you are to where you need to go. And when you're able to do that, because it's not a conversation anybody can tell you. I can't tell you, Los, I'm picking you for a second. I can't tell you what you're afraid of. I don't know what that is. No one can. And no one can tell us individually what we're afraid of. But we've got to know that there's some valuable stuff on the other side of that once we can name what we are afraid of or what we have been afraid of up to this point. And know that there is power in that, because if you can move through it, you can start planning accordingly, you can take some action, you can do all kinds of things that will preempt what you're afraid of. Is false evidence appearing real, number one. But number two, sometimes we're afraid of even looking at it. It's too painful. I've heard people say that. It's like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. It's too painful. Okay. I'm not being critical of anybody. Truly, I'm not. I'm not trying to look down on anybody. This is not about that at all. I'm just saying that if it's painful, if it's difficult, if it's something that isn't easy, the one thing that I can say about that is there's probably some money in it. There's probably some money waiting to happen. If you can get through all of that and you can still do it, there's probably increase in your salary. There's probably better lifestyle. There's probably a lot of other things that you can do once you get through it. But I didn't say it was easy. It might take, all the things that we talked about. It might take, really going out and having someone help you with it. Jay says, even if you have an issue that needs professional attention, for most, including myself, it's great to talk to others that may have experienced similar issues. I couldn't agree more, Jay. You put it exactly right. Doesn't matter whether you need help having the conversation or not. That is not the point. There's no one here. We have professionals in the audience who are probably, waiting to reach out to have a conversation with you. That's not the point. The point is really wanting to do it. That's the point, is you want to have the conversation and you want to dig deep. You want to know what it really is, regardless of if it hurts. And if you can have it by yourself, more power to you, but it's not a prerequisite. It's just about knowing that it exists, knowing that on the other side of it, I'm standing here, kind of not knowing what it is, that if I can identify what it is, I can cross over and get to the other side. I can, get to the other side of what I want to do. Know that what I want to do is definitely something viable. It's going to help the community. It's going to help my neighbors. It's going to help my family. Whatever, you fill in the blank. That's the whole goal for having this difficult conversation. And Motivation Monday, we're motivated. We're here. We're up early. We're having a conversation. You're participating. You tuned into Meerkat. You all are motivated. And this is a phenomenal place for us to take that motivation to the next level. Jay says, I met someone here. You know him. I've been helping him with his issues, both here on Meerkat and through phone calls. Yes, Jay. And I think you're doing a terrific job. And that's why I say that it is really so incredible that we can reach out to each other, we can help each other, and that we have a worldwide platform where we don't know, we didn't meet until we got to Meerkat. We didn't meet until we got to Meerkat. But how cool is this, that we can have an unfiltered conversation about things that really matter, things that can be life-changing, and then we can help each other. It's a fabulous thing. It's a great day. It's a great Monday, Motivation Monday. I'm motivated. I want, we all want things to be good, and I want things to be good for you. So Jay says, that's what I truly feel like doing. It's honestly therapeutic to tell my story, but hear and help others as well. You know what? It does. And being able to talk about it and know that, Jamal, thank you for liking this. To be able to talk about it and hear how moving it is for each of us to be able to support each other is like 99%. It's 99% of the challenge, I think, that we face. Is knowing that you're not in it by yourself. It's not the first person. You're not the first person to have the fear. You're not the first person to go through the situation. None of it. It's all something that is been done before. And if they could do it, so can you. Mark, thank you for liking and retweeting. It's so good to see you this morning. That's all I'm going to say. Is, it's been done before. Nadave, I like to help other people so they reach their potential. Nadave, absolutely. And I think that is, it's very fortifying when you can help someone. But you know what? I would say that it starts with that person wanting to help themselves and really wanting to have that conversation. They want to do it. They're just afraid. Yes. And that's why we're having the conversation, is that everybody wants to make a difference with it, but they have to realize that that fear is definitely something they have to identify so that they can get help. Loslo says, fears are hard to overcome and face for a reason. They're scared and don't always have that support system. You know what, Loslos, you're absolutely right. But here's the one thing that I will say, that even if you don't have a support system, there are a lot of support systems out there that you might not be aware of. And I think that once you identify what it is that you're really afraid of, you can then apply yourself and you can tap into the support. Does that make sense? So once you know what you're afraid of, once you really know what that is, then all of a sudden it's like the blinders come off and you can see, it's like, whoa, I didn't even know that was there. But because as long as you're afraid and you have not labeled that fear specifically, then when you go out looking for resources, you can't see them because you haven't really given it a name. You haven't. You don't really know what it is. So you just see a bunch of stuff. And it's not going to land in the space where it needs to land for you because you got to do the heavy lifting first. You got to say, I am afraid of fill in the blank. Someone says, I am afraid of how I look. I'm afraid of, people aren't going to like me. I'm afraid of, and you feel, really, all of that stuff is not true. Your beauty is on the inside. Your truth is on the inside. When you can be yourself, this is a space where we're looking for people who are going to be themselves and stream what they're passionate about. That's it. That's it. But, don't let your misconception stop you, but you got to name it. If that's what's bothering you. Gadget Guy says, he gets dressed up, he shaves his beard. He's like, he knows that he's perceived differently when he's gotten himself revved in that direction. There have been a lot of people who've said great quotes. So if you look back at the chats, you can see a lot of that texture and a lot of what's been said. That's very motivational. But I think that ultimately, in order for you to tap into and I'll say this, plethora of resources, then you're going to have the one conversation that nobody can have for you with yourself about what is it that you really, really are afraid of and what do you need help with. And once you come up with that, then you know what, you can look around and say, oh, wait a minute, I didn't even know that was there. You know what? And keep moving. Lydia, you're spot on with the stream. Oh, thank you, Tammy. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you being here this morning. I appreciate all of your feedback and, the conversation and the fact that you all want to have the conversation. You know what? I don't take any of that lightly because, all conversations, you just try to do the best you can. And, I just feel like it's something that, I talk to myself when I talk to you, and I don't take it like I feel like I've got it all worked out. That's not what this is about. This is about being truthful with yourself and knowing that, we've got to have some hard conversations if we want to get better, if we want to be better, if we want to be who we really want to be. Shirley says, I think that being positive towards others brings it back 100%. Yes, it does. And we owe that to each other. We really do. Abby, thank you so much for liking this. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you being here this morning. Absolutely it does. But you know what, we can be, here's another thought. We can be positive to everybody except for ourselves. You know what, we will beat ourselves down in a heartbeat. I can't believe you did that. Oh my goodness. Really, that's the internal conversation. And we will do that to ourselves because we still haven't truly gotten to that core piece of what are we afraid of. So we will put ourselves down to make ourselves, to be, I don't know why we do it, but we can get into a habit of doing that. We can get into all these really negative habits because we haven't really had that one conversation that we've been trying to avoid. So Christina says, yes, Lydia, you already have the great stuff you need for success inside you. Let's do the work so your light can shine, baby. Hey, Christina, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I think that our lights don't shine when we are trying to skirt around things that we're afraid of. Because, we've like, well, if I don't do this, then who's going to know? Because we're not having that conversation with you. Like I said, you can be out there making people think that you know what, you're not afraid of anything, but you know that you are. So that comes through. Thank you, Linda. I so appreciate that. And Dave, thank you so much for liking this. So that's what I'm saying. This conversation up here is super, super critical. It really is. And it can be life-changing when you have it. The light bulb will turn on and you're like, what the heck? I can't even believe I didn't see that. I can't believe I didn't even know that. Armand, thank you so much for liking this. You know what? It'll open up to resources and people that you didn't know. Oh, wow, so interesting. Thank you so much. Lydia, you have me so motivated and pumped. I wish I could start streaming right now to spread some positivity. Oh my goodness, Jay, I'm so glad you're here. Excuse me just one second. Los says the hardest part is looking in the mirror. You know what, Los? I'm going to say this. It is. It's very hard to look in the mirror, but here's what I'm going to say. If you look in the mirror and you really see yourself, no blinders, no funny business, no trying to make it look sweet when it isn't. When you can really look at it and take notes and say, hey, you know what? It's like that today, but it doesn't have to be like that tomorrow. It's like that right now, but it doesn't have to be like that 5 minutes from now. When you can really do that and you say, hey, it's game on. I'm not going to let me looking in the mirror scare me so much that I stop myself. Brilliance is waiting to come out. Los. Christina's right. Brilliance is waiting to come out. But I'll tell you something. When you do that hard work, it's like, wait, I'm going in. I'm going in. I'm going to look in the mirror and I'm going to take notes. I don't like this. I don't like that. I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of that. You get your list and you say, okay, so what is it that I need to do to get from here to here? Okay? Right now, I got like the Atlantic Ocean in between. But what do I need to do? Because now that I know what I'm afraid of, it's game on. You know what? There are all kinds of resources you can use. But you don't even know how to tap into them if you don't know what it is, right? Jay, I love your streams. Oh, Jay, love you back, and I'm so glad you're here. I love the conversation and the comments, and we can't wait to see. Absolutely, Tammy. We're there for you, Jay, and we want to support you. So you have to let us know. You know what? When we're following each other, when someone lights up the stream, it's like, oh my goodness, I got to jump in. Even if you're jumping in for just a few minutes, that's great support. But Los, you just said, you said it all. That sometimes you're afraid. The hardest part is looking in the mirror. The Man in the Mirror is one of the songs that I think Jay said. The Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson is one of his favorite songs. It's a great song. It really is. And really being able to do that is super huge. And Jay says, you're already one of my favorite people ever. Oh, Jay, you know what? Right back to you. I can't tell you how much I've appreciated getting to know you. You are so much fun to know. And really just, your perspectives are just so interesting. And it's life lessons. We've lived through life. You have some life lessons. You're sharing them. How much better can it be? You can help somebody else. We don't all have to make the same mistakes identically. Okay, that is not a prerequisite of life. Oh, we all make the same mistakes identically. No, you know what? We learn from each other. You can share. Some people go years and they never have that conversation with themselves. Ever. Never. Because it's all about perception, even to themselves. I want to look to myself like I'm okay. You know what, Los, like I said, you know that that's what you need to do, so it's all good. It's game on. You can nail this down. You don't have to be afraid anymore because you already know. Well, the hardest part is looking in the mirror. Okay, well, let's get it done. Let's get it done and out of the way. And how many years are we going to live with, oh my goodness, I don't want to look in the mirror. You know what? One more year, 2015, we're in June. 6 months going. 6 months gone. So I'm saying, get it done today. Don't lose another 6 months. Because we're afraid of something silly. And I'm not trying to say it's something silly. Trust me, I know how big it is. And it could be monumental, what you're afraid of. And I don't want to negate that, and I don't want you to think I'm trying to make it small. It's not. It's scary, it's serious, it can be, life-shattering, but the strength is really just making it happen. Is knowing that I am going to be able to do it even if I'm afraid. I'm going to do it anyway. There's a great book that I read actually when I was in college. It was like, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. It's a very old book. You'll find it, probably, it may or may not be out of print, but Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. One of the best books you can read. Feel the fear and do it anyway. It's one of those books where you really kind of like dig deep. It's a very personal time you have with yourself. Motivated Monday. Thank you, Los. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you dropped in. I'm always happy to see you. It's called, we can be motivated today. We don't have to lose another 6 months. Come on now. You know what? We're going to get to the end of this year and look back and say, oh, I can't believe I didn't get that done. What's in the way? This is Motivation Monday. Motivation Monday says we are going to get motivated, even if it's at the 6-month window. We're going to get motivated to have the courage we need to do the heavy lifting. It's all by ourselves. Courage is not being without fear. It is doing it anyway. Absolutely, Linda Dave. Totally understand. I totally knew what you were saying. Autocorrect translation. Got it. You know what? It takes a lot of bravery to be able to say it's hard to look in the mirror. It takes a lot of bravery to say, but I'm going to look in the mirror anyway. And no matter what I see, I am still going to love myself. I'm still going to feel a hopefulness and courage, and it is going to be incredible. On the other side of this, I may not like what I see today, but I'm going to tell you something. Give me some time, and that's all going to change. I'm going to like what I see when I look in the mirror, because I'm going to make sure of that. Okay? That's the kind of conviction you need to have. So when you face it, fear will say, oh, you're not going to like what you see. That's only for the moment. Okay? That's for the moment. After that, what's going to happen? You're not going to do anything about it? Absolutely not. You're going to take some action. And you're going to come back however long it takes. It may not be a month. It may not be 2 months. It might not be a year. It might be 2 years. It could be some time. It doesn't matter. As long as you look at it and you say, you know what? I don't like what I see, but I am going to change it. Fearless. I'm going to change it. I don't like what I see, but I know that I can make changes because other people have made changes. Not in it by myself. I'm not the first one. What can I do? Just get better. That's what you're going to do. You're just going to get better. It's all good, right? Christina says, bam, feel the fear and do it anyway. You know what? Bam. Absolutely. It's a great, great book. Phenomenal. Leisha, how are you? Thank you so much. Hey, how are you? So we're talking about fear, identifying what you are afraid of, and knowing that when you see that, it may not be comfortable. Actually, I think there's more strength in it when it makes you squirm. You're like, oh, I don't really want to look at it. When you kind of like do that, I don't want to look at a thing, there's probably something to it that will make what you're getting ready to do even that much more powerful. It's like, this is so hard. I don't even want to give it voice. I don't want to even give it voice to what I'm going to see or, how I feel or what I did. But you know what? It's all in the past. Think about this. It doesn't matter whether it's past or whether you feel like it's future or whatever. But when you look at it, just know that you can always make a change. You can always change your mind about the way you look at it. You can always decide that you want to take some action. You can always improve. You can make your situation better because you're taking some accountability and you're taking some inspiration, and know that there's so many people that came before you that have done great things. Sometimes doing something great, it's not about the easy path. You're a Meerkat, for goodness sake. How many of you have tried to talk to somebody about Meerkat? And they're like, Meer what? Leisha says, what do you think about the metric system? I don't know that that has anything to do with fear, Leisha. So maybe you can tell us, what do you think about fear, and looking at fear specifically and determining what you are going to do to conquer your fear. Vintage Villa, that's great, but don't expect awesome streams like Lydia. You know what, Jay? Don't sell yourself short, really. So, Leisha, here's what I'm going to say this. So I'm just going to say this out loud so everybody hears. We have a room full of people. Leisha, stay on the subject. I want you to be in this room. I want you to add to the topic. If you are not on the subject, if you want to, please get back in. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to try to determine what are you trying to say. Please get back into the subject. I'd love to hear what you have to say about fear. Okay, we're not talking about the metric system today. We're talking about fear and what we can do to face our fear and get on the other side of this. So Jay says, Lydia, my wife asked me the other day why I'm so happy when I get home from work in the morning. I told her there's another woman in my life named Lydia and she gets me happy. Oh my goodness. You know what, Clifton? You are so funny. So the hand just had to do a video bomb of me, okay? Because you started it. Oh my goodness, that is hilarious. You are so funny. Extra, hey, thank you for liking this nail polish. Hey, how are you? Oh my goodness. Samuel, how are you? You gonna behave? You're gonna behave? Try to get with the program. Don't go off the deep end. I'm just here to tell you, don't do it. Love, thank you for retweeting this. And Losis, it's funny because I was reflecting the other day and I realized the importance of facing my fears. You know what? So glad that you are here. I'm so glad you're here. Absolutely. Thank you for retweeting this. I really appreciate that. Losis is something I had been putting off for a while. You know, I want to motivate everybody to don't put it off, because we're at a phenomenal place where we can actually make dramatic change. We can do great things if we decide that we're going to just take action and not try to avoid it. Jay says, by the way, I showed her your laughing the other morning about the Golden Girls comments. Ha ha ha, she loved it. And you. Oh my goodness, Jay. That was so funny. For those of you who have not seen, you weren't here on Saturday when I did my stream about questions, and I had lattes with questions, and I had, basic questions. It was about Meerkat and everything. You have to go and watch this stream. Jay is a very funny guy. He is a very funny guy. It was hilarious. So hilarious. I can't wait to meet her. I know she has to be a very special woman, and you guys are a dynamic couple. So I'm so happy that she got a chance to see me. Now I've got to make sure I tune in so you can introduce us via Meerkat. So guys, we've been talking about, fear, facing that one fear or the fears that may be stopping us from being great, and knowing that the fear that's in your way is definitely the fear that nobody knows about but you. You're the only one who knows it. No one can tell you what it is. No one can make you into being afraid of something that you're not. It's all about you, yourself, and I. And hopefully that you can, have that conversation. James, thank you for liking this. It says she couldn't stop laughing. She cried. I'm so glad we were crying together. I'm so glad we were crying together. Oh my goodness. Now I feel like definitely we are joined at the hip. Thank you for retweeting this, James. And Johan, hey, it's been a while. Thank you so much. It's so good to see you. So glad you're here. Good morning, Lydia. Good morning, stream. Thank you so much for stopping in, James. It's really been a pleasure. And we've been talking about facing that fear of whatever you're afraid of, and knowing that that's the place where you've got to have that conversation before you can take advantage of all the wonderful resources. And I think there are some wonderful resources out there for everyone to take advantage of. But we just got to really make sure that we know what that is. You know what? You guys are just so amazing and so funny. And you make me, I laugh until I cry. They have made me laugh until I cry. I haven't laughed that hard in so long. It was just hysterically funny. Because it's always like a surprise. First of all, you don't know you're going to laugh that hard. And second of all, it's just, being able to share, funny things with each other, lightens the mood. You know, you got to have a sense of humor. This isn't all about, you know, the hard stuff. It's about knowing that, you know, it's all a part of the whole puzzle. Ali, thank you for liking. Hello to you too. James says, thus chat is something that I have been experiencing with streaming. This chat is something that you've been experiencing with streaming. Okay, you can tell us about it. Jay says, okay, so you guys are talking to one another. Hey, Raji, is Raj, right? Raj, good morning to you too. It's Jay says, Mere Foot Monday. Hashtag Mere Foot Monday. You know what? Oh, okay, Jay. Mere Foot Monday. You guys drove me like bananas. Mere Foot Monday. I am going to crack the code on that. But I'm so glad you're here. At that sense of humor, at this lighten up this mood, you know, guys. And it's not a bad place. Hopefully you're feeling motivated to do the heavy part, which is, hey, Cannabis, how are you? So good to see you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the thumbs up. Always a pleasure. What we can do to really be ready for the success that's waiting for us. Okay, so, you know, whatever that is, being able to say, you know what, I'm not afraid of it anymore. And the only way you can get to that point is by really realizing what it is and saying, you know what, we are amazing group of people. We have the opportunity to leverage each other, to push each other up, to support each other. Raj, I love you back. We have the opportunity to push each other up and to be incredible. Dub Planet, thank you so much. Dub Planet, thank you so much for liking and retweeting this. I really appreciate that. You know, we can push each other up. This is a worldwide conversation we're having on the one conversation you can only have by yourself. That's pretty deep too, when you think about it. We're a room full of worldwide people from all over the world, but what we're talking about is only something you can do. It's only something you can do. Nobody can do that for you. I don't care what they say. Nobody can do this for you. Linda, thank you so much for liking this. I really appreciate that. Love says, when I feel fear, I know I have a chance to grow by pushing through it and doing what scares me. You know what, Love? Absolutely. It is amazing how fueling that is and how empowering it is. James says, sometimes I type without my glasses on and you can clearly tell what happens. James, it's all good. No worries. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that you know, we do that translation all the time. Canada says, what if you have friends who don't want to do anything, don't hustle and only party and yet depressed and want my time? What can I do? Cannabis, you're talking my language. So here's something that you need to know. Okay? And this might sound harsh to people who, you know what, your friends mean a lot. But here's what I'm going to say. In 5 years, are your friends going to give you some money for you to live? Just saying. 2 years, 1 year, 6 months. They're going to keep you supported, keep you fed, clothes, and keep it moving. If your friends are stopping you from what you need to do, and you know you need to hustle, you know you need to get some things done, you have good ideas, hey, you've already done part of it, you come up with the bomb Twitter handle, so I know you're going places with that. But here's what I'm going to say. Sometimes you got to shake the friends loose. I'm not mad at anybody. And you know what? Everybody's welcome. But that's not who I spend my time with, because you know what? We're on two different fields. This is my path. This is their path. They're not motivated to want to do something. So you got to surround yourself with people who want to do great things. That's who you hang with. You can still support your friends. You can still say hi to your friends. You can still love your friends. You can do all of those things. You can be like super, super great. But, and there is a but you've got to protect, you've got to figure out what is it that you want to get done. And then you have to be not afraid to set yourself apart and not be afraid that if somebody says, oh, you're not cool anymore. Sometimes that's the fear. Oh, you're not cool anymore. Well, you know what? Everybody's got to eat. Everybody's got to do what they're really passionate about. You don't have to give that up for anybody. And you will find more friends. Okay? You will be supported when you figure out if that's what you're afraid of. You can totally do it and know that you're going to be, over the top successful. But you're absolutely making us understand that it's all possible. So you got a lot of advice flowing your way. So James says, okay, I am going to schedule a short stream for when I get downtown. Okay, James, thank you so much. I will look for it. So Lee says, cannabis boundaries are set boundaries. Absolutely. Christina says, there comes a time when you have to love them and move on because you can't serve others and your bandwidth is used on those people sucking the life from you. And James says, cannabis, you have to try and surround yourself with the type of people you would like to be. I couldn't agree more. If they're bringing you down, move on. I agree, Lydia. Loslo says, tell us about an experience you've had to face yourself and overcome. Okay, Los, I will. Beck. Hey, how are you? Thank you, Joe Stin. It's so good to see you. And thank you so much for the like and the retweet. And Christina says, you can reach your hand out, but they got to do the work to grab it. Don't ever stop, turn around, and sit down to gain or keep friends or anyone else. Joseph says you wanted to stop in and say, hey, I'm so glad you did. Awesomely put, Lydia. Thank you, Tammy. Good advice. I did that. I'll always move on. Joseph says, got to have my daily dose of Lydia stream. Oh, Joseph, I'm so glad you stopped in. I love your streams. Great calligraphy. I mean, it's just really very inspiring. And I love that type of art. So it's really, really cool to see you create it. So you wanted to know about a time when I had to face a fear and move on. So I'll tell you about one of my biggest fears. And this goes back to when I was in elementary school. Okay. So one of my biggest fears was the fact that, I was afraid of this bully in school, and it was really a bad bullying situation. So I know, there's cyberbullying now, so I really can identify that. Thanks, love. Have a good day. Oh, you too, Justin. Always a pleasure. But there was bullying, and my fear was not telling my parents. And I don't know why I felt like that. My dad was really super strict about, me wanting to have good grades. So the reason why I had a bully in school was because I was a 4.0 student. Because I was afraid of my dad, I couldn't not be that. So I always sat up front. I was always answering my questions. My homework's always done. It's just kind of the way it was. This is elementary school, but you know what? But this person was always, bullying me really, really bad. And I worried about every day. Worried about. Really worried about it to the point where I was hospitalized when I was like, I don't know, I probably was somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 or 14. I don't know, some ridiculous age where I was hospitalized because I was worrying so much. So bad. So I'm telling you this story because the point is, finally, the doctor said something's got to be going on because why is she worrying so bad? I don't understand. So I finally, cryingly told my parents what happened. I said, look, this is what's happening. Someone's bullying me, and I don't know. I was afraid to tell them. When I faced the fact that that was what I was afraid of, when I finally gave it up, when I finally said, you know what, but I'm not going to stop being a great student. I still kept my grades up. But then we took action and we made changes. You know what? I went to another school. I had a great time. I met new friends, and then I got over it. But that one lesson of what happened during this time, it really did, made me steely. That's why, people talking about me, all my life. # everybody who understands. You got to be okay with it and say, I had to tell my parents finally, this is what's happening. I don't know. I don't even remember why I didn't want to tell them. I really can't even remember. But the one thing that I will say is it made me a strong person. Okay. It made me stronger about coming up to that kind of fear where somebody is talking about you or somebody doesn't like you. You know what? Big deal. Life is tough. Okay? I get it. Not everybody's going to like you. I get it. Not everybody's going to, want to be your friend. It's okay. You will still survive. And those weren't supposed to be your friends anyway. That's the reality. It happened. But you know what? I got to this point where it's like my mother, I said, did your mom cut them off at the knees? She wanted to. She was like, what? My mother was just like, I cannot believe, what's the school doing? It always happened outside of school. It was always something, like really crazy. And she was appalled. But she got me moved. It was like, you know what? Midway the semester, it's like, no, you're going someplace else. It's all good. I say I celebrate every single bump. Anything that's negative, it's just a paradigm shift to turn into a positive. Don't be afraid of facing your fear. Don't be afraid, because it literally can make you the person that you need to be. You don't even know who that is. And you don't even know why that is. But there's something that's going on dynamically right now. Something that's going on dynamically right now that is reshaping you. And if you can just get strong enough to face it, game on. It's game on. And it can be the thing that you've just been waiting for to make all the difference in your life. Viking fan, how are you? Hey, so good to see you. So glad you're here. I'm doing great. Abby, thank you for retweeting this. Love says, poor little, you know what? Please, love, it's no big deal. And I'm so happy that I live that life. Atef, thank you so much. I like your thoughts. Thank you. Ben from Texas. Hey, how are you? Thank you for liking this. Thank you so much, Atif. I so appreciate it. Kelly, oh wow, Lydia, that is an example. Thank you for telling us about that. It's my pleasure. You know what? It's all good. That's what I'm saying. When I tell you that it's just a paradigm shift waiting to happen, I'm not just saying that to give you words. I'm telling you that because I live it and I'm okay with it. It's all good. You got to just get your mind into that point where you see it as a positive always. They're jealous. It's all a learning experience. You know what? Don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of that. It's like, people aren't going to like me. People are going to be jealous. Oh, I can't believe you this. Oh, I can't believe it. You know what? Really? Get over it. I don't like that comparativeness. I don't think that we should be doing it. I think that we should really be looking at what are we going to do to kick it up to the next level. Really, that's what we should be thinking about. And that's a lot of work just by ourselves. Okay? Crisis equals opportunity to excel. Yes, love, it really does. And Atef says, that's true. When you face your fear, the game is on and it feels great. Really? It's like the gauntlet goes down. It's like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for you. And it's going to be good. It's going to get even better because look at what I've had to deal with. Look at what I've had to think through. Look at how I have to be stronger. And Tammy says, you were so strong, Lydia. I understand completely. Went through some bullying. They can't win or take our sparkle. You can't let people have that much power over you. And for them to beat you down or to make you less intimidating or to make you this or make you that, you've got to be willing to say, you know what? It's okay. I may not have as many friends as I thought because people are uncomfortable with who I am or people don't like who I am. But you know what? Are those really your friends? That's all I'm going to say. Are they really your friends? No. Your friends love you for who you are. Christy, hi, how are you? Thank you so much for liking this. I really appreciate that. Absolutely. Sparkle. We got to keep sparkling regardless. Nadave says, you are the first streamer found randomly and liked following. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad you're here, Nadave. Really a pleasure hearing your thoughts and really look forward to getting to know you better. Joe, thank you for liking this. And Christy says, it's so true. Sometimes bullying leads to you bullying yourself when you don't tell. Do what Lydia did, everyone. You know what? It'll make you stronger and you don't have to be alone. It's not right. Gotta go. Thank you, Nadave. I'll see you later. Christine, thank you for liking and retweeting this. Morning right back to you. You are the beautiful one. You know what? Looking forward to seeing you guys stream today. And thank you for liking this. Christy says, it's kind of bouncing back and forth. I think it came out twice. Jay, thank you for liking this. And Tammy says, I now know that person was not happy with themselves and finds targets. Absolutely. Jordy, yeah, happens all the time. You know, people don't know, their beauty. They feel like they've got to be comparative and take someone down. That's just avoiding the conversation with yourself. That's all I'm going to say. When you got to do that negative thing to someone else, that is just someone who's avoiding a conversation they need to have with themselves to figure out what is it that you're afraid of. Forgetting about being bullying of somebody else or trying to be negative to someone else. You got to figure out what are you afraid of and channel it so that you can be stronger. Tammy says, Lydia, we are so blessed you've blossomed. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Tammy. I really appreciate that. But those are things that, you learn as you get more perspective. Because I used to be like, oh my goodness, it was so, why are people so harsh? Why are people so mean? Lost Les is going to get this day started. Always great to hear from you. Have a great day. Have a great rest of the day. Los, it's so good to see you too. I'm so glad you stopped in, and I hope you have an awesome day. I know you are. So guys, really want to say how much I appreciate your conversation, your comments, your feedback. Candace says Lydia is going to take Oprah and Gay. Is going to take Oprah and Gay. Really? I'm telling you guys are going to keep that going. Oprah's going to land on Meerkat with both feet. She's going, who's trying to call me out? I'm not trying to do that. I love Oprah. She's a great lady. She's done amazing things, and I take that as a very high compliment. I really do, and truly appreciate you for doing that. And look, these are the tough conversations I have with myself, and feel that, it's something that we can help each other with. When someone bullies someone else, they are just avoiding a conversation they need to have with themselves. Lydia, thank you so much, love, for that. Master the best, Andrea. Is it Andrea? Love that. Thank you for liking this. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for sharing. I hope you stay well. Have a wonderful day. It's my pleasure. I hope you have a wonderful day too, and I know you will. So guys, what? She took a screenshot. You know what, love? Who is the Gail to your Oprah, Lydia? Who is the Gail to my Oprah? Probably my sisters. I have awesome sisters who have always been, a source of motivation. They're really pretty amazing ladies. So I would say probably my sisters would be my, my Gail. Have a motivated Meerkat Monday. Oh, you too, Linda. Thank you for stopping in. When is that Clifton gonna share his character? He's not. So Mrs. Jamie, hey Jamie D, how are you doing? Thank you for liking and retweeting this. I really appreciate that. And congratulations on your epic weekend. I know you had some really strong Meerkats, so that's super cool. So if you're not following, please make sure you're following Mrs. Jamie D. James says, so many of us probably felt the same way about not streaming, and you encouraged me to stream again. Thanks for your stream. I always get something out of it. Oh, you know what, James, I'm so glad you were here. So glad that you are able to stream and we're benefited. So I can't wait to see it again. Leela says, so many inspirational thoughts, always worth capturing. Thank you so much, Leela. I'm so glad you're here. And Kelly says, thankful for the Meerkat platform that lets us connect like this and conquer whatever we face. You know what? It's all possible. That's all I'm going to say. It's all possible. David says, I don't know that I have any fears. I think I used them all up. David, you are so funny. Oh, you're very, very funny. Hey, Pink, how are you? Thanks for being here today. And Bora says, every time I do think I have many negative people around me and I can't even feel comfortable, does it make me a pessimist? Does it make me a pessimistic? Okay. Every time I do think I have many negative people around me and I can't even feel comfortable, does it make me a pessimist? Does it make me pessimistic? I think what you're trying to say is you have a lot of negative people around you. I'm trying to just make sure that I understand totally, Bora. So if I didn't get that right, you can correct me. Are you saying that you feel uncomfortable around positive people, or are you feeling that all the people around you are negative? So if you think that all the people around you are negative, it doesn't mean that you're a pessimist, but it might be that you might be hard on yourself, and so you can't see the positive qualities in the people around you. That happens and can happen. But I think what you've got to really think about is, if you've got a fear that you haven't really faced yet, what is it? And then try to get that out of the way, because it might clear up how you're perceiving other people. So love, I get it now. Leela, I get what you're saying too, Lydia. X10, absolutely. Thank you so much. Yes, totally. Okay. So the one thing that I say is makes me think of a book called Safe People. You know what? We can change how we look at people. We can change how we interact with people. All those things can change, but the one thing that you have to change is yourself. You have to change how you look at yourself. How you look at yourself affects how you treat everybody else. So that's the one thing that I say. I think that's the thing that you've got to really work on. And Connie says, glad I accidentally found this app. Wow, Connie, I'm so glad you did too. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for being a part of the broadcast this morning. So, you know what? There are a lot of things that I think that we can look at and be super, super motivated about. And then there are a lot of people who around you think, sometimes we think, to avoid this conversation that I've been talking about all morning, to avoid this conversation, we think the reason why we're not further along is because of all the people around us. Okay. Maybe. But the truth is, until you have that one conversation that you've been avoiding about really what you're afraid of, what's in the way, how you're really looking at yourself, and what is it, pared down, no fluff, what are you really afraid of? Nothing around you will be right. Okay, nothing around you will be right. And it'll be very difficult for you to see the success, not only in yourself, but in others. It's true. Or Omareji, thank you for liking this. I really appreciate that. So yeah, you know what? Some people are afraid of being successful. Some people are afraid of being smart. Some people are afraid of, of just being themselves. That's all of those are fears. But I don't know what your fear is. I can only say that, it's worth it to you to really look deep, to really figure it out, and to pinpoint it and then move forward. That's all I'm saying. And whether you need help, whether you do it with someone or not, but you just need to do it. Christina, #Truth Lydia. Thank you, Christina. I really appreciate that. I so appreciate you being here. Hey, Joe, thank you for retweeting. This is so good to see you this morning. I just want to make sure that that's Joe. Absolutely, Joe Hart. Oh my goodness, great guy, great streamer, wealth of information. Please make sure you're following Joe too. He's tremendous. Excuse me. And I'm going to take a sip of coffee. It's cold, but I still drink cold coffee, just They call it iced coffee. Paradigm shift. Okay. So we've been talking for a while. And we've discussed, having this conversation. James says, I'm only 10,000 points away from being on the leaderboard. You know what, James? Take it one day at a time. I tell you to take it one day at a time. There are a lot of people who are working on the leaderboard, and I will tell you this, that if that's your mission, that the leaderboard can change tomorrow. So you got to be on Meerkat for something outside of the leaderboard. You really do. Trust me when I tell you. You should just be connecting with what that is, because if tomorrow you woke up and the leaderboard changed, you know what? Are you going to be disappointed? You're going to stop streaming? You're going to stop watching? It's got to be something greater than that. Kelly says, I agree with Lydia. It's inside us. Support from safe people is an add-on, maybe parallel. Absolutely it is. Joe, thank you, Lydia. That was quite nice of you. How are you? I'm doing great, Joe, and so glad to see you this morning. We're talking about facing the one fear that we have, or maybe more, fear that we have inside that we haven't told anybody, or maybe that's getting in the way of us being successful. So that's been the conversation. And I've said that, you know, and if you can have enough courage to really have that internal conversation and really have a true conversation about it, then you've got the possibility of being able to have quantum success over and above what you've already experienced. But it's not that easy. Excuse me, it's not that easy. It's one of those things that maybe, you know what, you don't want to have. I don't know. Christian, how are you? Thank you for the retweet and like. Maybe I'll run into Madonna downtown and bump. James, oh, you got jokes. That's funny. Hey, David, how are you? How are you doing? So good to see you this morning. Lion, Lily, hey, thank you for the like and retweet, Lee. It's so good to see you. And another phenomenal streamer that you need to be following is Lee. He is the best dog groomer I've ever seen, and I'm so glad that he streams it because I don't have any pets, so I don't know about that process, but he does it so well. He makes it look so easy, and I know it's not. Stephanie, hi Liddy, my first time listener. My fear used to be people not accepting me. Oh, Steffi, I'm so glad you're here, and I totally understand. Howdy. You know what? The truth is this, that we live on this planet. There's always going to be somebody who doesn't accept you. I know that sounds crazy, but it is true. There's going to be somebody who doesn't like you. There's going to be somebody who doesn't accept you. There's going to be somebody who says wrong things about you. Okay. You will still be okay. Get this together and it won't even matter. I'm telling you, get this fear piece out of the way so you get out of your, and you won't even be focused on anybody. And then all of a sudden your life is filled with people who get you, who support you, who are working, you know, on the things that you want to work on. So you've got common thought processes. You know what, this fear conversation is really important, and it sounds like you've actually conquered it. It really has. But that is just a reality that happens. And it takes us a while to be, you know, everybody wants to be liked by a lot of people and, you know, embraced. But what can I say? You know, it's my Pollyanna thought process, but in this community, we can be supportive. We can work on that. We can be better. But especially if we're trying to work on the fear conversation. And that's not something you have to tell us. And I appreciate you sharing, but really it's about us being able to just have that one little conversation with ourselves and say, hey, NL, hey everybody, NL, how are you doing? So glad you're here. Always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for retweeting us as you do, and you're a tremendous viewer and supporter, so always a pleasure. So I'm good now. I had to get that, everyone, everyone is not your customer. Everyone is not for you. Awesome combo. Oh, thank you. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Thank you for retweeting this, NL. Bora says, and when a person feels this way, such as nobody understands me or I am the only one who feels this way, and then you find friends, those who are sharing in positive thoughts. Yes. You know what? It absolutely, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, some people say, well, the tunnel is so long, I can't see the light. Well, sometimes tunnels are like that. But if you keep walking, you can eventually get to the light. And it's a different pathway for everybody. But once you know what you're really afraid of, you can do that. You can do it successfully, and you'll have, you know, an amazing experience in being able to be, turn it around to be successful. So I don't know if you guys feel that way or if you're feeling like, you know, it can be done. I don't want to minimize this at all because I know that it's difficult. Joe says, hashtag fear of letting people in, fear of success, haha. I could go on. Most of my anxieties are fear-based. Fear is the lack of faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Is that what you're getting ready to tell me? Got it. Totally understand. We have everything we need to be successful. Trust me when I tell you that. But the fear is, he said, is the lack of faith. It's saying that you don't believe that even when you face it, you can do anything about it. And that's the part that fear tries to trick us all the time. And we just have to know, you know what? It's all a lie. It is all a lie. Okay? So really appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate the conversation, the comments, the sharing, and look, to be strong so we can get through this. So you just have to know that you have to keep going. You got to keep going, and you have to know that being able to keep going is an important segment of our life. And somebody's always watching us, so they need that inspiration. Carolyn, thank you for liking this. I really appreciate that. We've got to stay positive. We have to stay positive about the possibility, even when we're not where we want to be right now. Even when we have things that are super scary and we don't want to face it. Jay says, I have not left fear behind me, and it stands in my way of being a better person. I'll admit that. You know what, Jay, we all have something that we have to face. And the fact that you know what that is a very powerful thing, because that means that you're already on your way to getting around it and being stronger than that and being able to conquer it. So sometimes the past is what our fear is. Sometimes it's about the past. Sometimes it's about the future. I'm not here to tell anybody, what their main thought is. The one thing that I just say is, regardless of what it is, if you can admit it, like Jay just did, even to yourself, you don't have to put it out here in the chat or on Twitter. That's not necessary. You just have to be able to have that conversation. I wish I could. Your talk is motivating. It's just tough to get through. Jay, all I'm going to say is this. Sometimes the fear of letting go, something that we don't want to, sometimes the fear of letting go of something that we've carried with us is also a fear that we have to face. I hope that makes sense. Hey Corbin, how are you? Thank you for liking this. I really appreciate that. Sometimes that can be one of the fears. It's like, sometimes it's the fear of I've kept this with me for so long that I don't want to let it go. And I feel uncomfortable if it's not with me. It's my binky. Some kids have a binky, that blanket that they carry around with them everywhere. Sometimes our fear can be a binky. It can be something that I feel comfortable with it because I've always had it. So I'm afraid of letting it go, because then what am I going to replace it with? Just saying. Jay says, I've got through a lot of my issues. So yes, I'm on my way, but sometimes this way seems so slow. Sometimes it is, but you can actually be making faster progress than you really know. You just are in it right now. When you're in it, it doesn't feel like you're making progress. But when you get out of it, you're like, wow, I came through that pretty fast. So just know it's all perspective. I am trying, though. I truly am. I know you are, Jay, and you're doing amazing. Like I said, I so enjoy your streams, your conversation, your sense of humor. All of that stuff wouldn't be present if what you think is there was there. Okay, so just know that. A lot of the things you're saying and perspective you have, it just shows that you've grown a lot more than I think you're giving yourself credit for. Just an observation. So take that for what it's worth, and truly do appreciate you being on the stream and adding to the conversation about being okay with, I know it's wrong. I do feel that Meerkat positivity has helped me. That's great. That is really wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that. And Joe Lee says, thanks, Lee and Lydia. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Joe. You're a great source of energy and information on this platform, and we're just so happy you're here. Jamie says, great stream. I'm on my way, but I get frustrated a lot at the slow progress. You know what, Jamie? People think that it's slow. It really isn't. It's all perspective. It's all perspective. It's because you're in it. So you're in it and you think that it's slow. But if you were to look back a couple of years from now, you'd be like, you know what? Oh my goodness, I can't believe how fast that went. Jay says, Jamie, I feel that way too. It's about perspective. When you're in it, you feel like you want to, that you're not going that far. Hey, William. inappropriate. But you know what? There's always going to be somebody who doesn't understand how to be appropriate in the right situation. Just don't. And unfortunately, it takes everybody's got to stand up and say, you being inappropriate is not cool, it's not funny. But I hope you find out what you're afraid of so you can get through it and stop acting juvenile. That's all I'm going to say. Don't know you, but that is some crazy juvenile stuff. It's all good. See ya. I'm sure there's a stream out there for you too. And I'm sure that when you find that stream, what you say is going to be seen as funny. But it's not funny to me. Sorry. Can't relate. Hey, so guys, all I'm going to say is this, is that when you are really trying to do, there's always going to be something that could get in your way. There's something that can make you feel like, what you are, what you're doing is slow or you're not making progress. Keep going. It's all perspective. Keep going. You have to know this is happening faster than you think. You have to know that you've got to be, focused on what you want to happen. Hashtag Lydia don't play. I don't play that. You know what? Out. Keep it moving. It's all good. I'm not mad at you. I don't even know you. So how can I be mad at you? I'm just saying that's not something that I tolerate. I don't have any tolerance. Zero tolerance for people who don't want to get it together. So, everybody has to understand what they need to do, and then you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with it, and you have to understand that once you come together with it, you've got to be brave enough to keep going. Brave enough to keep going. When you come face to face with it, you got to be brave enough to keep going. Thank you, Jay. Jamie, I don't think you've ever been in my stream. I don't have a lot of trolls in my streams. I don't. A lot of the people who come into the stream really want to share in the conversation. So, you know what? But I also don't tolerate it either. So those of you who are here, you just know that's just part of me that is that whole, that side that I don't let her out too often. But when someone puts me to the test, what can I say? She's there. I just pull her out, handle him. I was like, handle him. Oh my goodness. Mad season. What happened? I'm so confused. Oh, you know what? We're talking about a troll. It's not anything that we need to talk about, but this is about fear, and it's about facing that fear that might be in the way of you being successful. So that's what the conversation is about, Mad Season. So hopefully, I look forward to hearing from you. Jay says, I need to get home and get some sleep. Thank you for making yet another morning awesome. You are so welcome. So glad you were here. Christy, thank you so much for being here. You're not cool. Okay. We are changing. It just just for you, Lydia, to Miss, I'd love to friend, love you, Lydia. We just we just took that negative and, make it a positive. Absolutely. Joe says, Lydia, so level-headed, straightforward, you rock, troll disintegrator. Thank you, Joe. I don't have many trolls either. I loved it. Oh, thanks, Jamie. Joe Wilson TV, nicely done. Thank you. Cool. Sorry, just got here. No worries. Tammy, thank you so much for being here. Tony, thank you so much. Right? Tony Delgado, love that. Thank you for liking this. And Tony says, hello, Miss Jamie. I was basically just listening today. You know what? So glad you were here. So glad you all were able to make it. And the conversations, that we have are hopefully conversations that we can all grow from. Thank you for liking this, Mad Season. I really appreciate that. That we can grow from, that we can get better, and that we can take it to the next level. You know what? We can get out of our own way. We don't have to be afraid of the things that are stopping us from being successful. We don't have to do that. We don't have to do that at all. Ben says, I've been listening while I work. Great insight on all sides today. Thank you so much, Ben. I was call you Texas Ben. Ben, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you being here. Say what? Herbie's in the audience. I just saw you roll in. Hey, Herbie, how are you? We've missed you. We've missed you terribly. And another great streamer that you need to be following, Herbie Marin. So really make sure that you are also following him. He's an incredible guy. So does great streams, really very upbeat, very positive. So guys, you know what? It's been a phenomenal day. I've so enjoyed being with you. I've so enjoyed our conversation. Tammy says, Lydia, and all I have to dash. Thank you so much. Blessings to you. Blessings to you too, Tammy. Always a pleasure. You guys are incredible and really do appreciate the conversation and our ability to talk about this very actively. I will be posting another stream after this and look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning. I start at 7 o'clock. So this is 7 o'clock to, it can be 10, but that's what happens sometimes when I'm answering questions on Mariji. I want to listen more, but I have to go to bed a little bit late here in Tokyo. I love the conversation. Oh my goodness, love Tokyo. I was there in January. It's like one of my favorite places. Love says, trolls give me the chance to learn to deal with difficult people. It's all good. Joe, coffee, cheers. Thank you so much. Thanks for the broadcast. Thank you so much, guys. I so appreciate you. So appreciate you being here. Thank you so much, Joe, for being here, for your support, for all the things that you guys are doing. I wish you a successful day. I wish you to face that one fear or those fears that's keeping you away from where you want to be, and know that only you can make that happen. You're the only person who can make a difference in that. No one else can, and I have confidence in all of you, and I look forward to spending time with you tomorrow. So guys, have a great day. I really appreciate it. Bye. Bye, everybody. Bye.